All right. Hello and welcome everyone to a live stream on my channel, which doesn't normally happen. But I am very thankful and very excited to be talking to two incredible people about a show that we both love. I'm here with Chantele from Realness with 3 S's and Kahuna from the Nullified Take channel. Thank you for joining me today. How are y'all doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm pretty excited just to talk about the challenge. It's the end of the year. It's kind of the end of the season. I kind of want to wrap it up. So we're kind of doing a wrap it up before it actually wraps up. But I'm happy to talk the challenge with you both.
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. It is the middle of the holidays. I've had a great Christmas. I've got time off work. Why not enjoy that time off by having a really good chat about one of my favorite shows and what I think has been a really good season. The fact that it's season 40, there was so much hype around it. And personally, I've sort of think it's lived up to it. I'm really impressed with the season. I'm happy to break it all down and talk it all over with you guys.
That's going to be one point that we're going to get into definitely tonight, is that the season 40 has been getting a lot of criticism, but I do want to just take it all the way back to the beginning of the year, because this is a sort of a year in review. And many people, I think, don't realize or remember that we started the year smack dab in the middle of season 39 still. Episode 12 through 21 all happened in 2024. And it went into March, I believe, of this year. Then we had All Stars 4. Can either of you believe, or what is your take, that we have only had 2 champions crowned in this 2024 year? I know we're almost through 40, but we only have 2 challengers that were crowned champions in 2024. And this is coming off of 2023 when we had like 8 spinoffs and 8+ champions. And so it's just like, how do you feel about that? And how do you feel about having 2 solo season winners back to back? Chantele?
Well, I kind of miss the idea. I like having a male and a female winner. Like I do like 2 people being crowned every season. I don't really love solo season winners. It just kind of frustrates me because I'm like, if it's not even here, or like I'm gonna be like, oh, was that fair? And like, yes, we've had both sexes have won in all scenarios, or whatever. But like, I just why can't they just give half the money to 2 people? Like I don't get that. So the fact there's only been 2 winners, one of which like I forgot. I was like, who won 39? And then the other who I guess we're all trying to forget right now. And so I'm like, can we get another winner already? Why do we need to wait till 2025? But at least there's gonna be 2 likely. So
What do you think about Kahuna?
Like when they went through 39, and if anyone's sort of watching with a cynical TV production mind, to me it was like, it makes perfect sense. I get it. Save all the money you can for 39 and just dump it into 40. Get all the big stars, all the appearance fees you need. Save it up. I don't care. I want 40 to be king. And I understood the concept of it, but when it was back to back, when your battle for a new champion doesn't even get to 40, like when he is the reigning existing current champion, when All Stars solo champion was just the worst possible shitty person you could think of, in very controversial circumstances. Like I understood on paper, but I think the end result with 2 champions, one of them being Emmanuel, one of them being Laurel, was just a write-off year. That's why I'm so invested in 40. Because, like I'm like, it's okay. I trust them. Let them do the stuff ups. The challenge is always hit and miss. And if we get the misses a little bit out of the way for a 39 and All Stars, and we get the hit on a 40, then maybe you do that balance thing where you go, okay, it might be worth it. You know what I mean? But I do think it was a calculated risk that maybe didn't pay off for those standalone properties. But I feel like if it was paved the way for a 40 or like whatever they needed to do to make this happen, then I'm kind of okay with it.
Yeah, it just like hit me like a ton of bricks the other day that it was just like only 2 champions. We've had 2 seasons, only 2 champions. And I think a lot of people wish that for Battle for a New Champion, why couldn't that have been 2 champs? I mean, Nerys nearly gets squeezed out of it, and it's because she gets second place. And if you're trying to, I don't know, it was weird because we were talking about 40, and I'm gonna branch off a little bit, but like 40, the original casting kind of throws you off a little bit because we've had so many champs recently. In 2023, I talked about how there was like 8 different seasons and a whole bunch of winners, but yet there was no effort to put any of the more recent winners, first time winners, onto the main series of season 40. Emmanuel wasn't even like on season 40, and he just won. I mean, I feel like he would have said yes if he would have been asked, or maybe he wants to dance in a dance studio for a good while and put up TikToks and Instagrams for a long time. I don't know.
Who would
It's
you
just
switch him out for? If you, instead of for, I guess, for era 4, who would you take
Josh?
Emmanuel, put him in and switch one out?
dang. Okay, Kahuna says Josh. I mean,
No, Josh is very
Josh
entertaining.
this
Josh is
season.
very
I'm
entertaining.
sorry. I'm liking Josh.
yeah, he said some pretty nice stuff in the exit interview that I had with him. So I don't really want to get rid of him, but
He's very
it is
entertaining.
one. But it is one of those things where it's like we just had all of these winners, yet it just feels like, I don't know, they're like spinning their wheels this season and kind of like jumping into 40. This is supposed to be an end / new beginning on the horizon. It feels weird. It just feels weird that how it was all set up. Now, I will say I am enjoying season 40, but it has been getting a huge amount of criticism because the late game feels a little bit slower, especially compared to season 39, where it was starting to ramp up when that started slow and then started to ramp up. I almost feel like there's a little recency bias on that, where it's like, oh yeah, 39 was much better of a season, some people would say, but I feel like people forget how slow the beginning and the conquer like until we got to the conquest portion, it just seemed like it was moving at a snail's pace. What do you feel about this season overall, and do you feel like it's taken a pretty slow hit as we move forward towards the finals and getting to the end?
Well, I mean, of course, I'm enjoying the season. I love bringing back all like these big players from my whole life. Basically, I'm like, I love seeing all the eras. I really, really do. I do wish that there was a little bit more. Like the era 1, maybe there'd be some things from back in those days where it was a little bit more, dig in the sand or climb a rope or throw a ball. Like it was just a little bit more basic, the type of things that they had to do. So I wish they just had maybe challenges from each era to see how people would fare, because of course, era 4 is going to be able to do really well with era 4 type challenges. It would have been nice to maybe have a little bit more of like the wacky challenges in there that doesn't necessarily favor somebody that's going to be super young and athletic. So I do wish that it was a little bit more well-rounded, so it just didn't make era 1 look so weak comparatively. But yeah, and I also just wish that they didn't, have the hall brawls and all those, head-to-head combat in the first 2 episodes and take out all the people that are weaker physically, because the weaker physically were usually the more entertaining people. So I'm like, oh, all the people that I've been waiting to hear their confessionals and see back on my screen and get to some mess, they're all out by a hall brawl that they were never, ever going to win. So I was just a little bit frustrated that they didn't utilize the talents that they had a little bit better, because I really was so excited to see everybody, that pretty much the whole cast. With pace-wise, I mean, I pretty much enjoyed it. I think here near the end of the game now, I think with having like the break, and now we're having like, I don't know if we're having a week off or not, or like, are we not? And then we're going to have the, it's a new year.
Yeah.
Like, I just kind of feel like it's not being very clear as to how the schedule is going to be. Why isn't it more clear? Why isn't it done by the end of the year? Like, I don't want to crown last year's winner next year. So I just kind of feel that they messed up with the pacing of this end game, just with the scheduling of it. And I wish they could have tightened that up a little bit, but I'd say overall, I'm enjoying the season. I think that they just could have tightened a lot of things up.
Definitely.
I'm loving this season. I do agree with the scheduling. The fact that it's going to end on like the first week of January is so odd. Like if they just moved it a couple of weeks. You know, they could have planned it a lot better. But I do feel like this season, the fact that we're going into a finals with Jordan, Bananas, Kylan, Rachel, Tori, Jenny, like, and then we just lost Cara Maria. Like, I feel like the format and what they've done this season has allowed for the cream of the crop to rise, right? Really, like, based on our draft at the start of the year, or who you would have expected coming into the season that would be at the end as far as the top performers go, we're probably missing a CT, maybe a Laurel, but she's not at the peak. Neither is CT, to be honest with you. I think Casey was an early exit, but that was against Tori again. To have the elite players still in the game has shown that the format this season and what production put in place, I feel has actually worked. The fact that in this last episode, when they were talking what's your favorite thing, and Tori said we didn't have a giant dominant alliance that just ran over the game, Bananas had to throw his little bitchy lines in there and say, well, it's because of me. But I agreed with that. I've been saying that for weeks now with Chris, that the way the format has worked out, and sometimes we see an alliance can just steamroll over an entire season, especially once they get these newbies from Europe they're looking for ways in and just trying to latch on to anyone that can give them a hope. But this season we did see fighting. We did see like an actual competition between multiple factions and people floating in between and finding their footing along the whole way. And the fact that that allowed for the top performers, the GOATs of the game, to still be in it this late, I think is really impressive. And to me, that says that production picked a format we've seen that can be manipulated. We've seen that can be done, like, they can just find the loopholes so many times, and this season hasn't allowed for it. We've got the top players in the game still in, and maybe it's because of the way they played socially, maybe it's because of the format, maybe it's because of the way that sort of teams, sort of the factions fell out, but it's worked where we have the best performers in the game going to the final, and I think you can't really argue with that, you know. Yes, it does get a little bit quieter and more boring towards the end because there's less players, there's less, you know, targets, there's less options, there's less factions, there's less all this sort of thing as the time goes on. But to have this level of play still going on, I'm impressed with this season.
So my counter though, so yeah, I understand, like, if you're somebody that wants just the best of the best to go head to head at the end, okay, they created a format that allowed that to happen. But what I don't like about the format is the fact that, okay, you win and you get some power, you can't even take out your competition. I think that that's kind of frustrating, that, you know, it's like, okay, I guess I can try to make friends with like someone that you're working with to maybe get you, like, it's so convoluted that the women can't take out their competition and the men can't take out their competition either. And so yes, it's going to have a stacked final because, you know, the women are going to want to have the strongest men in the final and vice versa. So yes, if that's the ultimate goal, but entertainment wise and strategy wise and positioning yourself as a player, I think it's a little bit frustrating as somebody that loves the strategic part of the game and not just be saved by the fact that, you know, somebody that would be targeting at you, even if they win power, they don't really have any say. If they're in the chamber and you know, they don't even have the say to who you're going to be going against. They don't have the final say if it's the same sex. So I just feel that that for me, that kind of took away from the strategic part of the game and didn't allow people to position themselves better to win.
I completely agree with that, because there was a point, I think I remember in the trailer, where it was like, oh, this Banana says this game keeps on switching. And it only really switched once. So I don't know where that confessional comes in, unless now that we know that he's in the final. I wonder if there's something in the final where they're swapping
the stars,
or something.
the karma points.
The karma points. Yeah, that makes sense. Which I really want to hear everybody's thoughts and opinions about that, because I don't remember the last time we all got together, but I don't remember us talking about the karma points. And I think that's the biggest worry for me going into these finals. But I want to say that I agree that the format really helps a lot of these stronger players, especially Jordan, thinking that he made it to the final, being the only person not to see an elimination. And it's because he is viewed as the strongest. He is they were saying, a triathlete, that it's like, yeah, if I got to swim with him, if I need something moved, if I need motivation, he's going to be the best one that I want here. So why would any woman want to throw him in just because Bananas is like, hey, can you really take him out? I mean, half of his crew was being pilched by Jordan and being shaking hands. I wish that there was a point in the game where it would have changed to where men would target the men and the women could target the women.
Take out the person that you don't want to run the final with. Like, there was never that opportunity. The only time that you're going to get the chance to beat your opponent is in the final, and that's going to be too late, most likely, for I think most people that's not named Jordan.
I agree with that. I do think that there's an element of where it ended up driving some of the storylines was Bananas versus Tori, then Bananas versus Michelle, and yes, that was entertaining, and I'm glad that people like Tori and Michelle stepped up to carry the drama, the stuff with Bananas. Like, Bananas was like, hey, I need someone to go with me here. We're gonna fight, we're gonna carry this show a little bit. Who's gonna go with me? And the fact that it was Tori and Michelle is interesting when it would have been a lot more fireworks to have a Bananas against a Jordan, and the Devon Bananas was so short lasted. But yeah, like, if you had, instead of Tori and Cara Marie being friends, which great, everyone's loving that, I know. But imagine if
and the meaning of life is
Cara Marie and Tori format force. See that for sure. I like that. Yeah.
There's something that I think Chantele really hits on, and I think it does hurt the show in general, and it just adds into the level of non-transparency, or however you talk, cloudiness of the show, is the weird scheduling at the end. Covering the show for so many years, I can tell you that they've always had an episode on the week of Thanksgiving, at least here in America. The week of Thanksgiving, there is always an episode. I didn't know, as somebody who is watching the show, making content for this show, like, is the show.
Yeah.
There was a point where I was flabbergasted, or I got hit like a ton of bricks, that there was no episode on the Sunday before Thanksgiving, to where I was like, I have nothing I don't have anything ready to go, because I didn't know up to this. Like, it's weird. I'm supposed to be in the know. I'm supposed to be on the pulse of MTV, yet as me, I'm like, I didn't know that there was no episode on Thanksgiving. Apparently it is coming back on January 1st. Joanne was asking if it was coming back the 8th or the 1st. It looks like there's going to be an episode on New Year's Day, so they can wrap up the last month, so that they will be wrapping up right when All Stars 5 is going to be coming in.
Wait, when is that starting? I need to get my brain around that.
January 29th.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 29th.
You won't get a week off, because there's going to be 2 weeks of reunion, I would assume, right?
I would think there would be two. So it's going to be the 1st, the 8th, the 15th, and then the 22nd, and then right after that. So it looks like it's going to be 2 parts of the final and 2 parts of the reunion. That's what but wow. Here's the thing, is that there was this like giant, but because of the level of transparency that MTV doesn't even have with its own audience, it fudges this whole thing all around. Because I remember, because I was trying to keep an eye on everything, there's a huge thing on social media where people were like, oh, the 11th is the last challenge episode of the year, because they marked the 18th as an All-Stars 5 preview for an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that sounds fishy. I don't think that's true, but we don't know. There was a whole bunch of controversy of people like retweeting, putting up on Reddit and everything. And I'm like, I'm sitting here just praying and hoping that we get an answer soon. It just adds to a level of like, people find it a little bit boring towards the end. And then why do your own fans have to guess when the show is going to be on, when you want us to be sitting in front of the TV? You want us watching these commercials so you guys can get paid and take trucks down the road and kick things. So I don't know. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, I have to say the momentum has gone down, just even with viewership. I was mentioning this on the last recap that I did, was like beginning of the season, like, tens of thousands of views. And like now it's like maybe 2,000. It's like people are not watching because they don't know if it's on, I think. And they're like, oh, it is on. Okay, let me catch the recap. Or by the time they like, oh, there was an episode last week. Well, I'm on to the next week, so I'm not going to bother, catching up on the week before. And so I definitely can feel that there's just less of excitement around each episode. And I think the scheduling has a little bit to do with that. And then also, at end of the season, we know that usually gets a little bit more boring as there's, as you're saying, Kahuna, less players involved, et cetera, et cetera. But I definitely think that us not really knowing what's happening, what's going on, we're just like, are we watching this show or not? And so, yeah, it's a little bit frustrating not having any idea what's actually happening. And also, can we just maybe discuss why All Stars 5 is going to be on MTV? Is this going to be a good thing? Is it going to be an hour and a half? Is it going to be like, we have some very, very volatile players that I'm like, okay, we're going to get some fireworks with these players back on our screen. Is it going to be all muted and dulled down and MTV nice? Like, what do we think about this?
So I'll give out my theory is that they got to season 41 way later than they wanted to. Like it sounds like season 41 is going to be filmed filmed in February. So people are going to go to wherever they're going in February. So I think that means that it's not going to come out, because I want to say this season filmed in March and they got it out in August. So that means that it's going to come out later in the year. And I think that MTV is worried. My theory is that they are worried that there's going to be too much dead air and they don't have enough Catfish episodes or Ridiculousness episodes or Jersey Shore episodes or whatever to fill that time slot.
Repeats of the challenge. Like, what's wrong with them?
They have enough episodes of Ridiculousness. They're fine. They got plenty.
But it's one of those things where I think they're worried that they're like, we need at least something to get people in the seats every single week for like at least 2 months, to where there's not a whole bunch of months in between, like 6 months in between the 40 and 41, that they're like, we'll just put it on MTV. I also think that the whole merger thing kind of threw it out, but I don't want to take too much because I want to get Kahuna's thoughts, because I could talk about this for probably hours. So Kahuna, what do you think about All Stars 5 gonna be on MTV instead of Paramount Plus after 4 seasons being on Paramount Plus? What are your thoughts? Why do you think they're doing this? And do you think that this is a good idea?
I don't see, for me, right, like being in Australia, I watch everything on the seas of the piracy, right? So like it doesn't really, like, for me, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't watch it on Paramount. I don't watch it on MTV. I don't have any of those things. I have to like go deep dark into the worlds to find it. I guess one thing that I am worried about is I do love that All Stars is so much more loosey goosey. Like they do silly jokes. TJ is just having fun. There's a lot more swearing. I do appreciate that it feels a lot more not necessarily the audience, because I know like obviously people in their 20s is not like thing, but they're adults that with adult lives and they talk like adults, and I appreciate that. I don't know if that'll carry across to MTV. They'll have the censorship. They'll have the same like a little bit stricter.
The music, dude, even the music on Paramount Plus, like I find it just the soundtrack is always amazing for All Stars season, and sometimes it's okay, but like I notice it for sure on All Stars. Do you think that they're gonna get the rights to some of these tunes?
I don't know. I mean, probably not. Like that's always such a big deal. Like again, like the way I watch it, I think sometimes I've heard that I get a different soundtrack with what I'm watching to like the live aired one anyway. Like that's always a weird thing for me too. And I get, money is a big thing, but it does make a difference. So I'm hoping it's still good. Like in my head though, if I think and squint like logically, I feel like the two should almost swap anyway. I know like I'm breaking tradition here, and I hurt people when I say the flagship on MTV, but the idea of All Stars was the old school, the OG, the older people, right? And if there's anything that fits MTV challenge world, it is those people. Whereas I feel like a lot of the new flagship people that are coming in, the young people that they're getting from the Euro shows and all that sort of thing, doesn't have the same affiliational link with an MTV. They could actually blood them into the CBS Paramount world a little bit easier because they don't have the long time association with it. So I get that kind of like in my head it works, but I understand like MTV's flagship and everything else is everywhere else. But I think it could work if, you know, because that's where the original All-Star OG audience was MTV, grew up with MTV, watching MTV, they associate with MTV. I can't see why they wouldn't come back to it. I'm just worried about how they change the show to match MTV versus what All Stars has evolved into.
My main worry is that this is a very drama-filled, drama-heavy kind of cast. I don't view this cast as like, as I see as like battle for the eras. There's some people on here, and we'll get into the cast and everything more in depthly, but it's like there's some of the cast that come to compete and that's all they're good at. And then, but this season is very heavy-handed onto the drama. And when you put it on MTV, it's like, okay, it feels like that. I feel like behind a paywall, and I do really love when I talked about like talked about the cast reveal, and somebody was like, the main show is behind a paywall. It's called cable, and I was like, "You're real. That's really solid." But I mean, like paying for Paramount Plus is behind a paywall to where if you're paying for Paramount Plus, you know, like the challenge can feel a little bit loosey goosey. Whereas this one, it's not. It's MTV. They have their own structure. They're going with it the way they want to. And I just worry that it will get watered down via just being on cable and stuff. But here's my thing with All Stars 5. I am not surprised about who was put on All Stars 5 because if we I don't know how Kahuna, if you're even know too much about Big Brother US, but I know Chantele and I have some knowledge, and nothing will ever feel more of a betrayal than Paramount doing a Big Brother All Stars 2, where it was the most random group of people that you could ever have imagined. And you go, this is All Stars? And then Challenge All Stars comes out, and I just know in my head, I'm like, okay, they gave us what we wanted as Challenge fans with the OGs and everything for the first one, maybe 2 seasons. But their real goal was to get, we got to get people from season 39 on here. We need to get people from the more recent season. So the people who are watching the main series will have a reason to jump over on Paramount Plus, because if they're too young to know any of then they can. And I just feel like this was the plan all along. We need to get Fessel over here. We need to get Big T over here. We need to get Corey over here, Corey Lay. We need to get all of these newer players over here because that's where the big bucks are, baby. And it's like, it gets people confused. A lot of people are saying that this should have been season 41 because there is just a lot of the same cast and crew. So I think that's the frustrating part.
Kahuna, you go
For
first.
me, I think it's a little bit of. I think they've got this pool of talent that they want to keep around, and their schedule's not allowing them to feed. So if Fessy, right? Fessy is like, look, Fessy, obviously we did 39, then we did All Stars, then we've got season 40. You're not going to be on that. We're not going to get you on TV for another 12 months, mate. Okay, you can go on All Stars. I think it's just a bit of a bone to the people that like we need to keep them in the loop. We don't want them to abandon us altogether, and we're not doing 41 for a long time. So let's try to keep them sort of eager, like he's something. Like I know we said you were back in good graces and we'll put you on TV, but we haven't got anything coming up. You can get on All Stars. I feel like there's a little bit of something, and I do feel like there's also they use All Stars to see if people can make the leap back to the flagship almost. Like I feel like when they put Kayla on there and she wasn't on the main show for a long time, it's like, oh, maybe she does well. People like her. Maybe we can bring her back across. And I feel like that was what happened with Janae. They were looking for another Janae. Janae, gone for a long time, gets on All Stars, a lot of success. That's what we want. Who's maybe Avery? You know, I feel like that's what they're doing. They're using All Stars to give opportunities for people that maybe aren't flagship, and then also giving a little bit of a bone for the people that are, and we haven't got anything for you at the moment. You know, there's a little bit of that. Like they've got this spare thing they can always, here you go. You can get all stars, I guess.
I think like that's definitely a possibility. I think another possibility is that they don't understand what is successful, what is not successful. Why are people gravitating towards this? What is it about this formula that makes people want this? What if I put this person? I think they're just trying to figure out what's the secret sauce to make the flagship season to be really awesome, because I think they realize that there's something special about All Stars, and so they want to see like, okay, is it like, what is it? And I think they're just trying to figure it out. And they can kind of use the format of All Stars because it's a little bit more loosey goosey. It's a little bit shorter. It's going to be a little bit more cost effective to shoot and stuff like that. People tend to have a good time. Bigger players say yes to this season. And so I think they're just trying to figure out what makes a good season, because I don't think they know or understand anymore who is their actual audience. Are they going to be only catering to maybe the new audience of MTV and that really want a lot of like the head-to-head combats and like the fifth sport? Like, is that what we're going at? Or is it what's happening here on All Stars, where it's people that are less physical, a little bit more entertaining, more dramatic? Like, is that what it is? And so what if I mix some of like the heavy hitters and bring them, like, is that going to be the perfect combination? So I think they're just testing the waters on All Stars in that format, shorter, cheaper, all that. And so they can maybe do a better job casting for season 41 and onward.
Can I ask this, that I was kind of like, it hit me in between both of y'all's points, is that so All Stars can get the older players and they can now get the younger players, and as we go through this, the rookies aren't getting any younger. They're actually getting older over the years. And then the players that started the show younger are also older, and they're now everybody's becoming a parent. Everybody's having like other jobs that they want to do. What is now that All Stars is on MTV, what is now the decision of like, why doesn't the main series just kind of mimic All Stars in the sense that it's just shorter? It could be shorter. Yeah. Why can't it be 13 episodes and film for way less time? And would that be better overall? You can get maybe a couple of seasons a year, possibly. And I think you would maybe get a more variety of a cast at that point. I mean, I don't know. It just kind of hit me that it's like people seem to be more drawn over to All Stars 5, like a Frank, like I guess a Steve, or I'm trying to think of other players that are jumping over there. But like Rachel didn't jump on to season 40. She was on All Stars 4 first and then jumped over to season 40. It's like, I don't know if she would have been like, yeah, I'm going to leave my kids for 40, unless it was like the 40th season. I don't think she's jumping on season 39. 41. I don't think she's going to be jumping on to 41 or anything. But like, should the flagship show just be shorter? And then what could that look like? Why do we need 22 episodes per season?
Well, and that's another thing about looking towards what was working in the past. Like, early seasons were like 20 minutes, they wrapped it up, and then it went to like 40 minutes and it went to like an hour. Now it's an hour and a half with commercials. And I think that they were really great at storytelling when they had a lot less time. And it seems that like with All Stars, that's the truth, is that they're able to tell a compelling story that's engaging, that we're really excited about in a shorter time period. And so I think it's actually probably a money thing. They probably have like 22 episodes of like content that they need to fill for their ad revenue to be able to pay, these winners their $1 million. And they don't want to really rethink that format, or trying to figure out like, how can we fill those time slots and shorten things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think they obviously stuck with it's a 30-year-old, nearly a 30-year-old. It's a 25-year-old show that has been running X amount of episodes that entire time, right? And in Australia, like, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but our reality-based TV shows here, like on main channels, like, man, like Survivor is 2 to 3 episodes a week, right? Something like The Block or MasterChef or anything like that, we're talking like sometimes 50 episodes. Like it's 3 to 4 episodes a week for 12 weeks. Like it's a long, and it's prime time, 7 p.m. main channel sort of stuff here. So like I'm used to the marathon efforts. Like that's what we do here because we don't have much entertainment. So they milk it. But they've now shown, the challenge has shown in the challenge multiverse, when they did USA, when they did other variations, when they do All Stars, they can do the shorter version and it works, right? Every other competition-based reality show, whether it's Survivor, blah, blah, like they do shorter things. And that's not necessarily always better, but what it does allow you to do is, like Angel Cake said, is the big thing is that people don't want to do 20 weeks in a house with assholes that you don't like, but you might be able to film like 9 weeks or something. You know what I mean? Like it's almost double the schedule, and you do have to be a full-time TV performer to be able to do this. So how many actual people are they missing out on that have careers, that have families, that have all this, that would be happy to do a shorter stint and provide all that entertainment that you want? But I can't do 3 months at a clip. I have a life. You know what I mean? It's a big ask. And I feel like
I was going to say, to your point there, is that like the people that do have the free time, that are on the challenge all the time, they don't want to make big game moves because they don't want to get off the show, because they want their stipend, because they want to be there as long as possible. So they're not going to play a little more loosey-goosey and make some bold moves because they don't want to mess up their bag for the next season, and they want to stay on the season for as long as possible. So yes, I agree.
Like, you get paid for every episode you're on, right? So
I think so. Or like,
yeah. I don't know. I feel like there's an argument to be made that you can make a shorter season, a better season. And if it is about money, that's obviously, 8 to 10 episodes less per season, whatever the case may be. You could make that up by rolling out more seasons in shorter thing. Like you could have multiple seasons a year when they're shorter. You know what I mean? You don't need the full 6 months of TV airtime when you can do it multiple times throughout the year.
No, also, sorry, before you,
go ahead.
Sorry, Drew.
No.
With your point to having like multiple episodes a week and for a long period of time, like 50 episode seasons, I watch all those seasons, Survivor, Love Island, and I like the pace of it every day. I think it's the stretching it out from week to week. It's just too drawn out. The momentum is not there. If I'm watching, I'll watch for an hour and a half and I'm like, oh wait, what's going to happen? Let me tune in tomorrow. Like that pace I can get behind and I can stick through 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks. But because it's like 1 week and then a week goes by, and then we're missing a week here, and then there's like it's boring. Nobody goes home this week. Like I just don't think that the pacing is working with what they're doing. But I do like the pacing of the longer seasons with multi episodes per week.
The only thing that I was going to,
you just get into the daily grind of it. It's
the only thing I was going to bring up, and I mean, I've talked about it so many times, we don't need any more new people. I'm sorry, but it's like the problem is that we've had so many influx of new people just from last year. I talked about it, like 8 shows premiered last year, and it's like we've had so many new people from season 33 to now, and it's just like they don't try to. They just don't do it. They don't keep bringing people on. They're just like, oh, this season the ratings were bad, we'll just bring in new people. And it's like, I'm sorry, but that's not what the whole show was about. If you're going to bring on returning people, they're never going to get the hang of it. And even if it's like we're gritting our teeth through, like Jay, who feels like he's running the show with a house full of newbies, it's like, yeah, but that's fine. That's that big. We need villains. We need people to hate, and we need people to root against. To me, it's like we can't keep on being scared of trying to help get newer people into the storylines, because you just never know. So I think
we might have pulled the plug too early on CBS. Because, maybe they didn't find that the ratings were great. Maybe it wasn't working on CBS. But I was pretty excited about seeing people that I've been watching on Survivor, on Big Brother, on Love Island, like at that time anyways, on something separate and having them figure out the game on its own. I was a little bit irritated when they brought in the MTV people because like they're going to shape it towards it being a game that they're familiar with, which I get it. Like I would be doing that too if I was part of the MTV crew going on the show. I mean, like I want to win the money, but it would have been nice if they just allowed these people to just figure their way out to have their own heartbeat of this show and then see how that could carry along. And then maybe bring them on after I have a few seasons of the CBS version, maybe start intermixing people together, because I did like seeing those people. I wish that they didn't pull the plug so early because I think that it could have maybe worked out into something pretty decent. But you were shaking your head no? Drew?
Me?
No?
Oh, me?
Oh
no!
I thought you were saying like no. Like at one point,
no. I was saying I was only shaking my head because you said the ratings maybe to the heads of the studios that they weren't to where they're liking, but I mean comparatively to MTV numbers, I mean the USA numbers were getting over 1 million in the ratings every like that is where I felt like that's where I was like, yes, bring in a handful of MTV players, create that bridge over, and then they cut the bridge off once the MTV people came back over to MTV and they sliced it off. You could have had Chanel, you could have had Cassidy, you could have had Chris. I mean, Chris seemed open in the exit interview I did with him. It's just so wild because I felt like USA 2 and was changed the name since you're not going to do the global stuff, but I felt like that was a really good building point, and I felt like it melded both worlds together to create a bridge to bring them possibly into looking at least it up on Google, being like, where is MTV? Maybe I want to watch it if Danny is over there, or if Chris is over there, or Cassidy is over there, or something like just the enticing part of. But they didn't bring anybody back, and I just want to highlight this one that I thought of. I starred, but it's like they called it global. Era 4 was like the global thing, but they brought in only 2 people who were global. So it's like, what is this? What I don't understand what they're doing at the end of the day of what they were thinking about, or what they're not, who they decided to bring and not bring in at the end of the day, because we need people to build up and build storylines around instead of just being like, that didn't work out, I guess, so we'll just never call them ever again. It's frustrating.
When did the CBS Viacom merger happen?
This year. Well, no, Viacom and CBS merger happened a while ago. I thought you were talking about when they got bought by Skydance or something, or the merge with Skydance.
Okay, well, I was thinking that originally, like specifically when CBS and Viacom, because like I feel like there was a bit of a change then. Probably we got an influx of maybe CBS players into MTV. But I'm wondering if it's the influence of having like CBS, like the older, rich, like sibling that's taken over and like is kind of pushing the weight around, and like MTV's is like, a little bit of a bratty younger sibling, a little bit of a rebel, and they're kind of being put in their place by the older sibling or like the parent company here. I don't know. I think there's something that's going on with the way that MTV and CBS, Viacom, are kind of talking to each other.
Yeah, it was 2019. So
I really think they set something up when they were doing the global thing and creating the multiverse of the challenge. I really thought that was a really good idea. Like they were building out a pool of talent that they could just cherry pick. Like so many, like for all the Gabbos we got on the main show, like just wasted like spots that, like, he's the one that sticks out in my head. People don't even remember this, but I don't know who you're talking about. Like he's so bad. How did he get on this show? They put someone like him on, and then last year they had Australia, USA, like all these shows with really good people on there. And at the time I was like, this is the blueprint. This is what you do. You set up things so that you can find the talent that's out there and then bring it to your main show if you want, or put it on All Stars if you want, or just have it available. And you're right, the fact that they've squandered it, the people that they built up, that the drama they built up, the champions, 8 champions, as you said, Drew, to have it all be for nothing feels like a massive waste. Like, I don't know why they put all that effort, all that resource, all that money into building something that they just completely let go. They're like, oh well, that was a waste. Like, completely wasted all of that goodwill they built up by putting together a pretty decent product and then going, we don't need that. Like, it feels
Well,
very
we did get
short-sighted.
Taz as a mercenary, there we go.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true.
the whole thing of the challenge, and me and Chris talk about this on TNT all the time because it's so contrasted by the fact that we do Survivor and the challenge back to back, and we always can't help ourselves shitting on Survivor when we're talking about how good the challenge does certain things. And one of the things that makes the challenge is the cast that you bring back and you build a relationship with, and you have your favorites, and you're going through the relationships and the tumultuousness and the drama and the victories and the low points and the high points. And we as an audience, that's what we attach ourselves to, because some of us have been doing it for 25 years. Since we were 20, we grew up with these people as adults, and now we're those people. And they take that away when they just throw 100 people at us in rapid succession, and not one of them ever sort of sticks. Cara made a point on the last episode that Tori is a different player when she went up against her in War of the Worlds to now, or whatever it is. And she said it's because she's been on every single season.
Yeah.
And on every single season, she's gotten better over that time. And it's not only better as a competitor, it's better as a TV personality, better at giving confessionals, better at sort of working with production, better at all those things. And they don't allow that opportunity for some of the other people that could very easily fill that spot as well.
I do want to mention one thing, that somebody did have a correction, but I was strategic in not bringing this up because technically we didn't have just two winners / half of one season, 2/3 of another season, and one full season. We had another full season of the challenge, but it was the first challenge season that wasn't produced by Bunim-Murray Productions. Instead, they licensed out the name of the show and some of the challenges and eliminations, and it was the Swedish challenge season. But it's not technically connected to anything that Bunim-Murray Production does because they just leased out the name. I don't know if this was just like a strategic thing of like, we tried it all on our own when we backed it. Now let's just throw it to a different team, and maybe that could help. What do you like? I haven't heard much about this because, of course, it's not on Paramount Plus. It's not anywhere that we can stream it legally.
I can find it.
Yeah, legally. But like, what do you think about this strategy, and where do you feel like this could land in the grand scheme of things? Or do you think that this is just like a kind of whatever, like they're just like, do you think this will amount to anything in the actual, like,
I don't think it's going to amount to anything. I think it's actually could be worrisome for the future of the challenge, because it seems like, okay, let's give out some licensees here because we need to make some money. Like, I'm sure they're going to pay to use that name, and I'm like, ugh, like it just worries me a little bit if they're so free to give away the name to something that they don't even have the production stamp on, making a product that they can't co-sign necessarily that's going to be at the same caliber. So it just would worry me that they're just trying to get as much money in before they say deuces. I don't know. It just seems a little scary. I remember hearing about it. I forgot about it, and so I might take a gander and see if I can find the season, so I can have an actual opinion on how the seasons run and like, what do I think in comparison. But just hearing about it makes me worried for the future of the challenge, because why would they want to give something that's so sacred, that's doing so well, away? Does it mean that they're just trying to make as much money before they say sayonara?
Interesting. I don't mind it. I'm okay with it, because you know what? Survivor Australia is much better than Survivor US now.
I mean, I can't lie. This season's been very good. It was very good, but I definitely have enjoyed Australian Survivor more of late.
So it can be done. Like if they're getting licensed and they're getting money to help pay for the current production, whatever. But maybe like you said, it probably wouldn't have much impact if it's not a big deal in Sweden. But if it explodes and if it's like huge and done amazing, maybe they can get a couple of ideas. Maybe they can get some tips and tricks and steal some, content. Maybe they can get some like cast members that might actually be, maybe not from Sweden, but the idea of allowing licenses for other areas of the world that will have very little impact negatively on your own product, because I didn't even know that existed. And I'm sure a lot of people in the States have no idea what's going on in Sweden, the challenge. It doesn't matter to them. It doesn't impact them, but they get a little bit of money. And then there's the potential upside of maybe we can look at what they're doing and steal from them and make it better that way. Like, I can't see a problem with that. I don't see how it could fall back on them in a negative light, unless, like Chantele said, if it is just pure desperation, we've got to license as much crap as we can now in order to get some money because we're just sinking ship. That is scary, but just on paper, in theory, I don't have a problem with it at all. Like, send it out there, see what people can do with it. It's not going to impact us because, Europe, like, Americans don't give a crap what happens. Like, they don't know what happens in Europe. They don't know what happens outside of their own border, let alone the challenge Sweden. So it's not going to be like, oh, well, the challenge is just watered down now. Have you heard there's a Swedish version? I'm not watching the US one anymore. Like, I don't see the equivalency, but I do see that you could get some potential good things out of it. It's sort of zero risk, potentially high reward.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Let's reel it back into season 40. I do want to talk about the finalists, but also want to get your opinions about, because I don't know, we're going to go for like maybe 2 hours if everybody's cool with that. But like, I want to talk about season 40 and mainly the karma points. This, to me, at the beginning of just being talked about, kind of like, I don't know, it's just another thing that kind of gets a little funky on the end of production. They're not really showing us everybody is like, we're not seeing at the end of episodes like Kara like writing down 8 people's names and being like, Tori 5, Bananas 1, Rachel 5, Jenny 5. Like, we're not getting that from every single person. We're not even getting that from an exclusive on Reddit or like YouTube, which could be very, very easy just to put do that kind of video and it'd be great. But even talking to the people after the episode, and they go, I wish, like Corey, when I talked to him, was like, I wish I would have known what everybody gave me. And that's like, you don't even know. Like, I as an audience member who wants to keep everything lined up, would love to see it. But I don't know. This reminds me of like the stars in All Stars 4, where it's like, give a star to your favorite person before you leave and walk out the door because you weren't good enough. And it's like, well, I like Laurel, I guess, because she gave me her piece of toast one morning, so I'm gonna give her to her so she can win at the end of this thing. It's like, what do we think about the karma points? Were you excited at the beginning? Are you still excited? Are you not? What is your viewpoints of these karma points? Because it just feels like they're reinforcing, give your friend 5 points, be friendly, and all this other stuff.
I can get behind anything if it's explained to me. Like, I think the fact that it's just so up in the air how they're going to be used, the players don't know that they exist until after they're voted out in the game, and they're not going to know that it's going to help them in the final or hinder them until they get to the final. So I'm a person, we talked a little bit about transparency already. I like transparency because it allows people to play a little bit better, or differently, or it just changes things a little bit, having all the information. I like information. I want to know it all. I don't want to be surprised by a twist that I could have done something to potentially prevent. And I wouldn't want people to be playing all like hedge their bets because they're in case that they have a twist. But like, I would like them to have a lot of the information in the beginning, including, I don't even know how the points are being judged. Like, is it just you give 1 to 5 karma points per person, or do you have a certain amount of points that you have to allot, like all the points, and distribute a certain amount of points between the players left in the game? Like, I think it's wild if it was like, say there's 5 people left and you can give 4 people 1 point and 1 point person 5 points. Like, that doesn't seem to make sense to me. Like, does it mean that you have to just distribute 25 points? And I don't know. Like, I just don't know how these points work properly, and I know that it's just going to come in and heavily favor somebody, and they're going to win. They need to get rid of advantages.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my thing as well. I think it's just going to be the opposite of the stars in the negative. Like, I'm worried that it will be so um adverse to you. Like, it's going to put such a disadvantage on someone like Bananas, who's he's played the
Wait,
whole
my way
season.
is this.
Yeah, like when you're playing a game where you create enemies or you're going against people, obviously the karma points is a thing. But what is that what they want? Do they want these people to play nicely the entire season with the in the back of my mind, I have to treat people kindly just so I can get the karma points? Because the stars in All Stars 5 made all the difference. I don't think Laurel wins that without the advantage that she had, right? For me. And it could also be in the negative. Like we're looking at a season that is season 40, potentially the greatest of all time. We've got a Jordan versus Bananas with the Kylan like running a finals. And does Jordan, who's probably pretty good karma points this season, he's avoided a lot of the drama. Does
Yeah.
he need a huge advantage over Bananas in a game like this? Like, I feel like going to a finals, the karma points should have played their part throughout the season.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. If you're getting negative, if you're getting negative points, you get the disadvantage in the next daily or whatever the case may be, rather than
You have another
hey,
target if you get the least.
yeah, because there was even a moment. There was about 6 or 7 episodes. I don't know how many episodes it was. There was at least a little while where they didn't even mention it, and I forgot the karma points like from the
Yeah.
first. Like I was like, oh, karma points. That's right. Like they didn't even weave it in and remind us at the end of every episode. It's only randomly they'll go, don't forget the karma points. We're like, karma points. Chekhov's gun is going to come back at the end, third act. But how that's going to be an impact, I think I'm not ready for that. I don't like the idea of working all season, fighting tooth and nail to get to the finals, and then go, hey, you're starting like three steps behind the greatest person to ever play the game. Like then it's like it's done. Like, you know what I mean? I hope it's not
Especially if they want it
too
to be
much
like,
of a difference maker.
especially if they want like it to be head to head and all the strongest players at the end. Like they structured this game so that all these strong players are going to be playing at the end. Why can't they just play at the end? Like, why do you need to advantage or disadvantage people that were able to get to the end? And there's supposed to be this like the great epic battle. Now that you're going to make it a little bit more unbalanced, like it just doesn't. It's another idea that they just didn't need to have. You know, you don't need it.
I think here's my theory. And this I think could have really helped out if people really would have thought this through. We had 8 people just be kind of like purged in that second episode of everybody getting thrown into elimination. You had like a whole bunch of people and 8 people are gone off the bat. To me, we're not starting the season off with 40 people. The season starts off with 32. Like it was just a guys. What if we didn't have that giant purge in the beginning and then at the very end, before the final, to get into the final, whoever is left, we tally up your karma points, and then that's who's going into eliminations or whatever. And then that's where the massive elimination goes, because now it's like, okay, you had to fight in to get here. You didn't get as many karma points. You're going to have to fight for your spot because you played a weird game. But at the same time, I agree with everybody. Like, I don't like the playing nice thing. To me, here's the thing, and I didn't want to talk about it. And I don't really want to get into it. And it's going to get into a huge rant thing. We're already an hour in. But like, I got so frustrated at the end of House of Villains 2 because it is one of those things where it's like, you're not picking the most villainous player. You're picking the person who everybody feels the most neutral about. So yes, I do sort of like Wes. But if you played a really bad game, then you played a really bad game. But I felt like he played such a good game. He pulled the wool over so many people's eyes. He lied, cheated to get to the end. Even people were like, you're not supposed to be here. Well, guess what? He freaking played and was entertaining about it. And he got here. And you're now, but they got the vote. And now I knew walking into there that Safari was going to win because, spoiler alert, Safari wins because he didn't do anything. He just walked around and just didn't do anything because he's like, I had to just be myself, and yourself was boring. I don't know why you were here on House of Villains because I don't know what you did to get here. I don't know. It just, you were just hanging out. It was just like, it was frustrating. It was frustrating to me because now it's like, okay, we're not dedicating this to being the most villainous. We're dedicating this to being, oh, you didn't piss off the most people, you know.
Yeah,
So there you
you weren't
go.
sneaky. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, isn't sneaky part of the villainous? Like, you weren't calculated, like, like being calculated, being sneaky, doing whatever it takes to win the game should have been.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's over. Kahuna, have you seen it? Oh, shit.
I've not, but I don't care. I did see something about Wes getting utterly humiliated in the process.
He wasn't humiliated. He took the chance. Everybody knew that Jesse wasn't going to do it. It was like boring. Jesse wanted his moment, and he thought he got it, but he was like, whatever. Wes was laughing the entire time that he was on his knees.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Oh. That's fair.
But
well, House of Villains. So I definitely wish that the end of House of Villains was, yeah, did nothing. He did absolutely nothing. I wish there was a way to garner villainous points or something like that. Like, I don't know, because I agree that I don't feel that a bitter juror is what is supposed to evaluate a villain. Like, was it supposed to be like a reformed villain? Like, okay, which villains have become reformed and people are going to like them the most in the end, and they didn't piss anybody off or make anybody feel stupid. Like, you want to make people feel stupid. The fact that people were vexed, like they were vexed with Wes for sure. Like, Larsa was pissed. Candy pissed. Like, everybody was pissed with Wes, and that should have been like the amount of anger and venom that they had towards Wes should have been the exact reason why he should win House of Villains, not House of like, you didn't piss me off.
Yeah. I just want to say this one thing. Larsa really was like, I had an eye roll because she's like, my family is all into sports and we don't celebrate cheaters. And it's like, first of all, he didn't cheat. He was just smarter in the whole gameplay aspect. But two, this isn't a sport. This is a reality show on E. This isn't the Olympics. Get out of here. What are we talking about? Sport? Were you coming in here like limbering up the entire time? Like you're pushing, like you're using like a leaf blower to put balls into a hoop or something. Like,
yeah, you're holding the wax statue of David like on his genitals.
Yeah.
Like,
what are we talking about? This is a sport? Anyways, it's just frustrating that it feels like they're really pushing heavy with the whole like like friendly, we need karma points. I hope a lot of people are saying a lot of hopeful things in the chat, being like, I pray that it's only for like a little bit, like just the start of the final, and then maybe move forward. Don't make me laugh here. The HOV, the sixth sport. Yeah, America's sixth best sport is House of Villains. Write it down. But it's one of those things where it's like, I hope that it's just in the beginning and we're done. Like, I hope we're not like, that's all.
What do you think it's going to be?
I don't know, but I hope it's not anything to where it's like, I hope it's something just in the beginning and not just like that carries through the entire thing. Or if like they have this thing where it's it's a point system and then somebody is tied and then it's just like, well, technically you had the better karma points or the more karma points, so you get it. Like, I
think that's actually what it's going to be.
I don't want that to be the case because like that's not how it's supposed to be. So I'm just worried, but it's one of those things where it's just another thing that production can put their hands in and be like, well, just shake it around a little bit. We're not telling them all of it, but it's just ridiculous.
To me, there's also an element of like, hey, you lost. Why do you like? I just got you out of the show and now you get to get your little... No, you lost. You don't get rewarded. You don't get to impact the end. You're out of this. You're now an observer watching from the sideline. You don't get to play the game anymore because we got you out. And to have an impact later on in the game, especially in the final, for someone that lost in round 3, to have any kind of impact like on that, I feel is weird.
That's
like
true.
It's like, no, you sucked at this game. I got you out of the game, and because you lost and you've got sour grapes, then you get to have your little, you get to doodle about who sucks and who you like. Well, I like this person and I hate this person because they beat me. Like, that's always going to be the case, right? I'm going against this person. They got me out. whether it's directly in the sand or they voted me in or strategized me, whatever the case may be, there's always going to be an element of I just lost. And also they're doing it immediately after the loss where they're still pissed off
Yeah.
and, you know, whatever the case may be. So I don't understand how someone who loses 12 weeks ago will have any kind of impact on Bananas in the final or whoever in the finals. I'm assuming every time we see someone mention karma points, Bananas is getting one. Every time.
Even his friends.
Yeah.
Even his friends. Laurel was like, I'm going to give him one. Laurel's an angel this season. And she's like, I'll give him one. I don't care. Like, he's already getting ones from everybody else.
But maybe she was because she did that because she wanted to give Jordan a 5. Like, I don't know. Like, Jordan, like, he must have the magic stick because, like, the way that these girls are stigmatized, like, come on, he has a girlfriend. He's not into you anymore. And they're still like, oh my God, Jordan.
There was talks around the time that she was purged from the game was somewhat close-ish to when Bananas made the deal with Cara to do the Bananas podcast within the house.
Oh, okay.
So I felt like I think there was some like talk of like, oh, I don't know if it was like, I don't know if she like said yes. I thought they were like doing something, but it sounded to me that there was talks of like Laurel feeling like Bananas maybe had a secret alliance with Cara and she was kind of bitter grapes about it and was like, I'm just going to give him a 1. So whatever. If he's playing that game, then whatever kind of vibe. And it's just like, and then he's on his podcast. It's just so funny that he's on his podcast being like, Laurel's such a great person. She's doing great. And then the podcast right after the episode she leaves, he's like, what the heck did I do? Like, this sucks. And then like he's on there with like somebody else just like bashing, like just like taking some pop shots at her. It was like ridiculous. But what do we think? Before we get into All Stars 5, because I desperately want to hear everybody's thoughts about All Stars 5, and we're like 50, like we're already over an hour. I do want to talk about what do we think about the finalists? Who do you have your eyes on going into this thing? That's all I have about this, because I did say finals preview and we're talking about so many other different incredible topics, and I really don't think there's too much more to go with. But what do we think about who are you looking for? Who is your dark horse? Whatever you want to say about these finalists, or how little you want to say about these finalists.
Well, I mean, I think that the karma points are going to play into this. The people that I think will get the most karma points, I think, are going to be Jordan. And I also think Rachel has been doing a really good job with making friends with everybody. Yes, she's an angel. Yes, she's kind of, you know, on the other side, but she kind of made nice and friendly with Tori, being like, yeah, we both want to run the finals with Bananas and Jordan. Like, you know, I'm not coming after you. Like, let's just run against each other. And so I don't feel like Tori's even mad at her. And so I feel like Rachel is going to get a lot of karma points. And I think it's going to help her. And I also think that she's very strong. It looks like this final is going to be a lot of swimming. And so with the fact that it's a lot of swimming, the people that are strong swimmers are Jordan. Bananas is decent. Tori is looking better, like she won the last swimming one. And Rachel's also pretty great in the water. If I'm forgetting someone, let me know. And so I feel like those 4 are going to do the best in the final. Likely with the karma points coming into play, that we're going to see, it's probably going to be Jordan and Rachel taking the wins for the men and women. And I think that if there's like a purge or a first people leaving, I think that Michelle might be in that spot, and maybe Derek in that spot. And those are 2 people that I'm missing. How many people are going to this final? 4, 3,
8?
5?
Yeah,
8.
So there's
40.
well, I have a whole bulletin board. I know you can't really see it, but I have a full bulletin board. I've had like a bulletin board this whole time, with all the connecting pieces. Shout out to the Patreon. You know, if you know, you know. But Bananas, Derek, Jordan and Kylan, Jenny, Michelle, Rachel, and Tori are all the people.
Kylan and Jenny is who I'm forgetting. I feel like they'll come in 3rd, and then Bananas and Tori maybe 2nd, and then Jordan and Rachel might take the top spot just because of the karma points. Though for Rachel, I'm going back and forth between Rachel and Tori, but I think the karma points might edge Rachel a win here.
Okay. Kahuna?
I think Kylan's screwed. I saw him that episode
Oh,
where
in
he
the
had to
water.
swim.
Right. Derek
Holy
might be better
crap.
than Kylie. You're right. Sorry.
Yeah.
I like Kylo. The fact when they went, we're gonna go somewhere a lot less green. And he's like, please be desert, please be desert, and it's water. Kylo's like, ah, shit.
Yeah.
I thought it was so. I was like, oh, because I was hyped up on Kylan. I think he is a future champion. I think he'll win a championship before Corey ever does. I think he's got all the tools there. And then I saw him swim, and I went, oh no. Like it's definitely it's like, oh no, he's got no shot at this. It's definitely Jordan Bananas, and I think Karma Points is going to be a big impact on that. Even if it's only for that, like, I know Bananas complains and bitches about everything. It's part of the character, but in the next episode on thing, you just see him like getting pissed off, like at the announcement of Karma Points. So I think he got hit hard with it. Whatever it may be. On the other side, Tori's having a phenomenal season. Rachel, obviously, as well. I think on an even basis, I would give the edge to Tori, but I'm worried about Karma Points, like you said, Chantele. I think Jenny is obviously a monster and can do amazing at this, but they just keep sprinkling in her asthma all the time, like in the edit. You know what I mean? Like they keep saying how it's coming up, that someone talks about her vaping, like this, like just her breathing just becomes an issue. Multiple episodes, she still powered through and destroyed them in the daily. Like it's phenomenal. But the fact that they keep saying it and it keeps coming up in the edit, I'm wondering if it will play a part in the finals.
It almost feels like it almost is going to, even though she just won the final daily challenge. When it comes down to karma points, I do think that Rachel, because she had Era 1 just absolutely decimated, because she lost so many people, she got so many I'm sure, fives from everybody on that team, and then adding in like other people on top of like talking. Michelle and Jenny, I think, have the lowest amount just because I don't think they had as many people. I think Jenny has the lowest out of everyone. She only wanted, even her own team just didn't like her. So I think that Bananas actually gets hindered, and so does Jenny, that none of their angels or friends were like eliminated. If they could have pushed out a few more people on their own side, I feel like maybe they would have gotten a little bit better of the edit. I actually think Derek on the men's side has the most karma points. I feel like he connected with a lot more people.
Yeah.
And even sometimes with Jordan, even though he didn't get into a lot of drama, I felt like there was a lot of people that were like, oh, well, Jordan doesn't need any help in the final, so I'll give him a 3, or I'll give him a 2, or I'll give him a 1. I want to see somebody that may need the help to get the help. So I feel like no matter what, Derek is going to have the highest karma points out of the men on that side. I just worry about the karma points. For the actual winners, I think I'm gonna go for the ex-fiance. I'm gonna go for the Jordan and Tori combo here.
Wow.
I feel like Jordan won Dirty 30 with an even stiffer cast, in the way that like he had to go up against CT, Derek, Cara Maria, She Who Shall Not Be Named, Tori's rookie season, and it's like I felt like he was on a different level, and it just seems like he's gotten better.
So when he broke his leg too?
What?
No,
Was that when he broke his leg in a final and still won?
Yeah, he hurt his knee. Yeah,
that was the one where he took the plane.
Yeah,
yeah,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
It was one before. No, that was the one that he won before. But.
And then Tori just seemed dominant. I mean,
yeah.
People have been talking about how Rachel seems to be very not so happy, and it's mainly because Tori just keeps winning, and it's like, just beat her then. Just win, don't be angry about it.
15 years older than her. Let her be a little bit bitter, okay?
Look,
I was going against somebody 10, 15 years younger than me and just being annoyed that like I can't beat them. Like I might complain about it.
I mean, look, I'm always going to root for Rachel, as she is a USF alum. And I don't get too many people like that that I can root for and see on my TV. So I'll gladly root for Rachel, but I just think that Tori and Jordan, I think, are by and far some of the best competition that they have on here. So I'm gonna root for them, or I'm gonna predict that they win. But now I want to move on to the future. We've talked about the present. We've talked about the past with season 39. Let's talk about the future. And I don't know how long you guys want to stay here, but just let me know and we can. I don't want to keep anybody hostage or anything.
I'm here for the long haul.
You got me, okay?
It's the finals. It's about endurance and stamina.
All right, we're gonna be doing those crazy but I do want to talk about All Stars 5 because I feel like I've been in like a little like isolation chamber ever since this came out. Once this came out, it's like then it was Christmas and the holiday season. It's kind of like we're just I'm just away from the computer and everything, and I kind of don't want to be on too many of these social medias around this time of year, anyways. But it's like I've been wanting to talk to somebody about this. I really want to hear your guys' thoughts. We are in talks about doing a draft prior to the season starting. So I don't remember what date it was. I don't even want to say a date until we lock it in. But we are talking about doing a draft. That is not tonight. Definitely not tonight. But I do want to hear everybody's thoughts and feelings, and then I'll jump in. But what do we think? What do we think about this?
Okay,
This cast of All-Star 5 rivals, first themed rival season, and what do we think about this whole cast? Chantele.
I mean, obviously, I'm going to be loving it. There's so many duos, and I'm like, I don't remember why you're upset at each other, but I can't wait to find out. And hopefully, it's a main focus of many, many episodes. I'm super excited about that. Wait, Drew, you'd asked on one of your when you were talking about the cast about somebody who you didn't understand what their beef was. Who was that again? Because I thought of it, and now I just can't remember what it was.
There's two pairs. There's Leroy and Devin, which I feel like has been answered-ish. And then it was Ashley and Anissa that I don't.
Okay, so
really
I'm wondering, my first thought when you'd asked that, if it was when Ashley was kind of cut from the show, when she had that fight with Josh, and like we never heard anything that happened, because I think that was that season.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't Anissa leave? Like she hurt her foot and she was going to leave, or she did leave, or I can't remember exactly how that went down.
Yeah,
but
she left in episode 5 of that season.
I think that was when they got into a fight, because I think Anissa was involved in whatever that confrontation was that happened with Josh. I think. Does that sound right to you, or because I feel like she piped in?
Well, here's the thing: on that season, early on in that season, there was a woman on there, Lauren Coogan, who was on Love Island, who was pulled from the show because she was making. Allegedly, from what Corey L and Anissa said, is that she was making some out of pocket, maybe derogatory comments. And so it was brought up via Josh, Anissa, and Corey L allegedly to somebody, and then they pulled her early, and that's when Amber comes in. Anissa does get hurt not too long after that, is pulled in episode 5, and then Ashley gets pulled like way deep into the season. But as Kristen said, that was her theory, is that maybe in the back end, the story was told to Anissa. She is very chummy with a lot of the production and everything. So maybe she heard what was said, or maybe what was allegedly said, and then maybe she has this like anger towards Ashley off camera. And I think that is the most valid reason. That somebody else in my comment section said that, oh, well, Anissa threw in CT and an Ashley in the first episode, or the first elimination of Double Agents. Sure. I mean, let's thinly veiled. I don't know, but I think that either or is, I guess, a good enough reason. I mean, let's go back to Rivals 2 when Frank and Johnny Bananas was paired up together because they had one Twitter exchange that was not so kind. Okay, sure. I guess that just makes sense. But yeah, I think that's a very valid reason.
So
That
I'm
could be true.
excited though about seeing how all of this plays out. I want to see when they realize who their rival is. I want hopefully production will do some flashbacks of like, the straw that broke the camel's back of their friendship, or however that they're going to show this stuff. So I'm excited about Devon and Shane, because I remember seeing that clip even recently, and I was like,
Mhm.
okay, like hopefully they still have some anger and animosity and some venom for each other. There's definitely like lots of pairings that I'm excited to see together. Like Katie and Veronica. Like,
Oh my
okay,
god.
20-year feud. Let's
Yeah.
bring it. I'm pumped about that. What are you gonna say? Sorry.
Well, that's what I'm interested in. Is like, I'm in my 40s. If there was someone that I've had a fight with at 22, I'd be like, I'm over it, bro. Like, we are not rivals. Like, come on, man. Like, it's been a long time. That's what I'm interested in. It's like I haven't thought about you. I don't care about you. Like, you're not taking up, real estate in my mind. But it is interesting that if it could bring back, like you said, I hope they show some flashbacks. They're gonna have to, because some of these are
Oh yeah.
25-year-old
There's a reach.
rivalries and stuff. Like, yeah, and that's what I'm curious about, because we've seen every season, right? Whenever there's some people that get into drama and they're fighting, all the fans are like, oh, they're just doing it so they can get on a rival season. They want to call back for the rival season. And they always sort of play this fanfic of like, the rival season is going to happen any second, and it's going to be the best rivalries we all know, because that's what they're driving for. And then we get ones that are like, hang on, what was that one again? Like, how do they know it? Like, every season there's someone that we go, they can be on a rival season. Like, they hate each other.
Yeah.
And then we go, oh, Ashley and Dario, were they really like, I know they fought, but
They're exes.
Yeah,
are
they're
we
exes.
waiting for a Dario comeback season for his rivalry with Ashley? Like, that was just so, like, I'm a little bit, and then we've got the gender discrepancy as well. So I don't know what's going to play out here as far as how that's going to work, because I'm looking at, if it's just teams against teams, like, far out, like Adam and Steve have got a leg up, don't they? They've got a bit of an advantage over a Veronica and a Katie. Like, holy crap.
Well, same with Amber and Fessy. I know it's like a mixed sex there, but like they're young and they're both very strong. Now, I'm hoping and praying that All Stars 5 will be a lot more carnival-y games, janky games, as Fessy likes to call them, because he was always just kind of like, I'm an athlete, D1, playing all these. I'm such a strong, fit guy. I'm like, I'll take you in a hall brawl. Like, I don't want him to get anything physical. I only want him to have janky games, and that will make me so satisfied that he's on this season. So this is my Christmas.
That'd be amazing.
Well, the good thing is that it is All Stars, and it is just all, like, it's not like running into a field and running over people. It is going to be like running into a field and having to put together 8 star puzzles. And then it's all going to be carnival games.
That, though.
It's going to be, you know what? It's going to be really, really fun is them, Fessel and Amber being thrown into elimination, and both of them being like, or at least Fessel being like, I want a hall brawl, but they don't have hall brawls on All Stars. They have, we're throwing stars at a giant wall and hope you don't hit your own picture. I mean, that's what we're doing. We had Tara and Rachel going into elimination against each other.
Fessy.
Yeah, it's like
finding a fishing line game or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same format as like Final Reckoning, which I will say those eliminations where they have the equalizers is a little off. Like,
what did they do again? Can you just remind me?
Well, they had equalizers, but they didn't they weren't very like upfront about the equalizers. Like the one thing that stands out,
discrepancy type thing, like it's carrying. Okay.
So they did the Rolling Stones one, which that was like based on their weight divided by 2 or whatever. And so it was like the weight of like their team members. But the one that I always remember, and it's look, I wasn't like beating the walls or whatever, because it was Pauly and everything. And nobody liked Pauly back then. If you did, then good for you. But there was a point where it was Pauly and Natalie versus Cam and Kaylee, where they were Pauly and Cam were strapped up to a hook, and they had to run on bungee cords to get like these puzzles to their their team members who are in a giant cube, and they have to put the puzzle, a 3D puzzle together. Paulie just couldn't get to the opening of the cube, and then Cam was like walking freely back and forth, and he was like, my cords were just pulled too tight. And I mean, looking back on it years later, it's like, okay, I don't hate the guy as much, so I'm gonna watch this. Yeah, and so now it's like, okay.
Unfair.
So now it's like, okay, that does seem weird. And it's like, it's the same thing with them walking down the building when they did the daily challenge, where the one person was hanging over trying to tell the code to the guy or the person who was, and then the guys, you could tell, couldn't pull each other down as easily as some of the other teams. And it's like, how do you equalize that out? It just is weird. It's weird how to try to, like, it just adds another funky element. It's kind of like the karma points. It just adds another funky element to all of it at the end of the day.
There was a funky element in All Stars 4, remember, with Leroy's contraption where they had to do the spitting backpack thing, whatever. Like, some people, it was easier for them to get the straw thing, and some people, they couldn't get it at all. And so,
yeah,
you know, I mean, the proportions from your mouth to the straw, like, that wasn't necessarily measured and taken into consideration. Like, it wasn't a one size fit all contraption, and you could tell that by the way that people were either okay at it or not so good at it. So, you know, I think that Survivor needs to, you know, teach the challenge a little bit about these fairness elements, or having a dream team try out some of these challenges for fairness, or something, because it's frustrating that at times there's these discrepancies that I feel like they could be ironed out beforehand. Like, and I don't think that we should I think it's either all same sex, like either like male, female, or they're all mixed. But I just don't think that it works with it being an assortment.
I will say that looking at this, it is a very interesting, because as Kahuna talked about it, it's like Adam and Steve, which I find really, really funny. But Adam and Steve, and then you have Leroy and Devin as the two only men team paired up together. Then you have a handful of men-women, and then a ton of women teams like Melissa and Nicole. You got Sylvia and Kellyanne, Katie and Veronica. So it's just like, it is interesting the way that they have like 16-8. I believe it's 16-8 ratio of women to men, which I don't think we've seen that ever on the show.
Weird.
Yeah.
Why are they doing that?
It's really, like, I don't know. Like, I remember hearing when doing the cast rumor video of it, I was like, is this really, like, I had to double take to be like, is this really how we're doing this? Because it just seems odd that there's that big of a 2-to-1 women to man ratio, and then you also still have 2 man teams on there. Like, it just, I don't know, it just feels weird to me.
Like, is it just because they're going to get rid of, like, you know, 3 sets of female teams right off the bat? Like, and then all the male teams will make it to the end? I don't know. Or male teams that have men in them?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just odd. Maybe they want to have they're trying to secure a female winner, but I don't think it's going to work. Or do you know if they have 2 winners, or if it's just one?
I think it's just going to be one pair.
One team.
Oh,
I'm sure one pair is gonna win.
Be split or share.
It's either gonna be share or steal, maybe. Yeah, can we get another steal? But it's not gonna hold as much weight, because the prize money on All Stars is so much lower. It's like, are you gonna it's gonna be like Bananas stealing the $275,000 from Sarah again? It's just gonna be like, yeah, I'll take like the whole $250,000 for myself. It just feels weird not to take it all. What do we like? What do we feel about this? Are you excited? Are you happy that it's coming up so soon? Who are some standout teams that you're looking at? What do you think? Like, I don't know
that we had finished up season 40 in 2024, then have a couple weeks off, and then get excited to start maybe February 1st for All Stars 5. I would just like, I want to get excited. I used to be like, oh my God, the challenge is starting. Like, I used to be so amped up about when the challenge was starting. Like, I'd be excited, like sweating. I'm like, oh my God, it's coming. And now they're not giving me an opportunity to get excited about it again.
Oh, yeah.
And so I do wish that we just had like a little bit of a break. I wish one season was ending, have a bit of a break, then some press and like get excited about it, and then it starts. I wish they were letting us build some anticipation here, but I love All Stars in the pace of it. I do like this cast enough for sure. I think that there's going to be a lot of drama. I do want to see some people who I haven't seen in a while, and I just want to see the drama if they still got it, even though they're older and more mature. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to All Stars 5. I just wish that we had a little bit of a break so that I can get more excited for it.
Kahuna?
For me, it's like I feel like the hype that I felt coming, almost like Dario, coming into season 40, that's hard to live up to when you've got the epic cast of season 40, and then go, oh, we're going to do All Stars now, and like I said, Dario, and like people that you haven't seen for a long time. So it feels like a bit of a come down from a 40. Like it's hard to, I guess, carry that on into an All Star season. But to me, I'm always excited. It's like, there's a saying that pizza is like sex. Even when it's bad, it's still good.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about the challenge. Like,
100%.
even when I can sit there and criticize, even when I can say, what the fuck? Like, why are you picking this? Like, what is this? What's going on? Where's the transparency? I don't understand. I'm still like loving it the entire time. Like, no matter how much I criticize, no matter how much I complain, you're complaining about something you love. And that's how I feel about All Stars. I am excited. Am I as hyped as I'm as excited as season 40? No. Like, to be honest with you, because of my very much recency bias as well, I have watched old seasons, but I haven't rewatched old seasons in a long time. I forget a lot of the old rivalries and stuff like that. I'm not as across it, so I am as excited to see it, but I'm not like, wow, yeah, Beth and Janae. I don't remember Beth, the thing from Beth. I know there's a thing with Beth and Janae, but I can't, my ADHD doesn't keep the details as well.
Don't you remember when, like, Janae and was kind of, I wonder if it was before they're partnered with MJ, when she's like flirting with MJ, I think, braiding MJ's
that's
hair,
what it was. Oh,
and all
that's
that
deep,
stuff,
that's
and
a
then
big
kind
one.
of putting out the rumor that she was cheating
she
on
put
her
it out
husband.
there. Okay, that makes sense. I like that one. That's a
They
good one.
weren't happy about
I thought
that.
it was a 20-year-old one.
No,
But
no, that's recent.
In that sense, I am excited for it because, again, rival seasons have always been good. And if there seems to be a lot of drama in the cast, I am a bit hesitant about what we've talked about. The gender discrepancy, how are they going to play that out? How are they going to make sure that it's not completely unfair for some teams versus others? And the challenge is not good at that. Like, in many ways, there are times where I say that's one of the good things about the challenge. It's like, hey man, it's raw. You play the card, like whatever's there, you play it. Like we're not changing it for your size. We're not changing it for your height. Theo, you're gonna go through this tiny little tunnel with things in. Like you're a 6'8" gigantic person. We don't care. You're doing the tiny little thing where you fit through a tunnel. Like that's what the challenge does. And sometimes there is like appeal in that. But I am worried about a season where you've got Devin and Leroy, Adam and Steve. Again, very funny, like you said, Drew. No matter how many times we say it, it's Adam and Steve, not Adam and Eve. Yeah, I am excited with some hesitancy.
Yeah, I completely agree. And to just say, like, it's funny with the Beth and John A one is that it was like, yeah, she said like Beth was insinuating that she cheated on her, John A cheated on her husband. But I think the cherry on top for that one that really got John A pissed was that Beth kept on saying Jen A or Jen A. And it's like, don't say my name wrong. And it was just like that, that's like weird. Took her over the top with it.
I remember that.
Yeah, I did my cast reveal. I did the rumor video and I did the cast reveal. And I thought in between that time, it was like 6 months. I thought in between that time, I would have felt a little bit more either really positive or really negative. But I found myself kind of neutral in this. And I don't know if it was because like the past few seasons, I've shown my hype level and then it kind of like dissipated over it. Like I remember 39. I was like, all these people are new, and it's like it could be exciting and unpredictable, and it became really predictable. And then I was like, I don't want to feel excited right now. So I just love that when I went into the cast reveal and I gave my true and honest thoughts, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. I'm kind of mixed about this. I don't know if I'm feeling that good about it, but I'm looking forward to it and I'm keeping an open mind. And I just remember going through the comment section of that video, and one person was like, you better be excited because this is all you got. What happens if the show gets canceled? And I'm like, then I go live my life.
What would you do?
What?
What would you do, Drew?
I just find a big cardboard box, and then that's it. That's all I can do. It's like I should have been more excited. I should have feigned excitement for All Stars 5 because that's what saved the show. I can say my true thoughts and feelings. You know how many years I've criticized the show, and it's still pumping, it's still going. Like just because I'm like not as thrilled or not like it's fine. It's fine, everybody. I'm still gonna do review and recaps. I'm still gonna go do 2-hour live streams on Tiny Table Talk on Patreon, yelling and critiquing, but also being excited about certain things. It's fine. But it's just one of those funny things where it's like I don't know how to feel about this cast. I'm excited for the rivals. I'm excited.
They've always been good seasons, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the rival seasons are the most exciting and thrilling besides the X's ones, but Rivals to me is season 21 is the peak. It's the peak. It had the biggest ratings. It had like the culmination of all of those rivalries crescendoing together with like Wes and Kenny and all of Bananas and Tyler and Cara and Laurel, and that's still going heavy. And it's like that. It just felt like everything that the challenge was leading up to in those first 20 seasons just did an incredible like built up to season 21, and then season 24 they were like, we got to do this again, and it's like they didn't have enough rivalries, and they were just like, oh my gosh, just comb Twitter. Like, what is that even a thing? It's like, yeah, we got it, it's fine. Somebody critiques somebody on there, right? They're using it as a blog. But it's just like it's one of those things where it's like I'm going to be cautiously cautious and hope for optimism in this whole thing. Now, I will say, I think that there are a few people that have a lot of pressure on them coming into this season, and two of which is Leroy and Nani.
Okay.
I
was gonna say that like I'm like Leroy for going like my mom. Okay, so I don't know. I think I was watching your recap, and my mom comes in and is like saw that like Leroy is on the screen. She's like, I thought he retired. Even my mom is saying that. I'm like, actually, Mom, he's been on 2 seasons since that you thought that he retired, and this would be his 3rd. I do wish though that his return would have been a little bit more epic and a little more awesome. And I'm just hoping that All Stars 5 he'll just have a better season, like at least make it to the final or like win some eliminations or something. I just want his legacy not to be so tarnished, you know? Like he never was the best, but he was always better than he's portrayed in the last couple seasons.
Well, and the thing is that he's paired up with Devin, a champion. Yeah. Like it's like Brain and Braun. It's like it's really looking good, but it doesn't help that like the past 2 Leroy seasons, it's like, okay, Leroy did make the final in All Stars 4, but it was like he kind of fumbled his way to there. Like he kept on like tripping on stuff as he was walking through the whole game, and it's like, and then this 40, both him and Devin looked really bad. Like they both looked like absolutely terrible. Like Devin couldn't give a crap about wanting to win season 40. Like it was really, really bad. It's showing for both of them. So it's not great that both of them are paired up and so recently did not do well, but I still think that they're in a really good position, and it's now all eyes on. And yes, there's newer people on here, but just having the banner being under All Stars, I feel people are like looking at the younger players or the people that they think should do well. It's like, you should win. This has a reputation of you're going up against some older people. You should be able to win. The same thing with Nani. She's paired up with Turbo. We saw them be able to work together on season 33. Yeah, Turbo can be has shown to be a tough partner. But Nani and him have done really well. has done incredibly well together. They should be able. They should be able. Turbo wants to win at all costs. He will do whatever. So Nany, I felt like, here's the thing, 38. I want to pass this off to y'all because I've been talking for way too much. But season 38, I felt like that was Nany's season. Paired up with Bananas. They have been paired up already. They almost made it to a final. Here they are in the final against two players that haven't won before, and they goofed up. They just completely dropped the cinder block on that one. And then it's like you're paired up with Turbo on an all-star season, a champion on top of a champion, Survivor on top of the challenge. It's like, here it is. If you're not winning 38 or this season, pack it up. I'm sorry, just pack it up. Like, you need to have a season like Casey where you're just losing 90% of it, and then CT can pick you up at the very end and then drag you across the finish line, because it feels like that would be the only way you're getting the win if you don't win this season and whatever.
Well, I remember when Nany and Turbo were first paired up together, that she was kind of like the Turbo whisperer, right?
Yeah.
She was able to talk reason into him. She was able to smooth things over with his relationships with the people in the house. And I think that knowing that she's partnered with him, she's going to be doing that again. She's not going to be distracted by Casey. So she's going to be able to be full Nany mode, full social, full putting herself in the best position to get far in the game. She has Turbo here that is terrifying, I'm sure, to a lot of people. And so I feel like, I agree with you that this is going to be a really good chance for her to win, because she's going to have the strength. And I think that she's going to be able to use all of her connections, because she knows everybody on the season. She doesn't have really any blind spots, I don't think, to anybody. Like, I think she knows everybody, right? Maybe like a Katie or a Beth, she might not know, but I feel like she's been on the show long enough to at least have been in maybe events and stuff like that around them. So I think that Nany has a really, really good shot at winning. And I'm happy that she doesn't have Casey there, so that she's not distracted, and she will be going on full, like, let's set up my game mode. Like, let's win.
Yeah.
So I want this for Nany, as I think that she had a pretty rough year. And she's wanted it for so long. I think that she could have won it with Johnny. If they had taken Derek's strategy of using the cinder blocks and building it beforehand instead of just moving it and placing it and then changing things after, like, they would have won that game. And Bananas kind of admitted it, being like, man, like, he had a better strategy than we did. And, he was like, all PTSD over these cinder blocks. I think that she might be able to do it this time around.
I agree. I do think they're setting up for a Leroy or a Nany. Like, even on All Stars 4, I was like, they're setting the plate here for Leroy. They want Leroy to get his chip. And I think they want Nany or Leroy to get a chip here. Like, they're hoping they've stacked them. They're like, Nany, we'll give you Turbo in an All Star season. She's like, all right. So, like, she couldn't have gotten a better partner for a season like this, I think. And the same as Leroy. He's got the best possible part. Like, yes, recency bias and performance is a thing, but surely coming into a season like All Stars, they got to be feeling confident. And Nany's been wanting it for so long. Like, she keeps, I think it's like her ego thing, because she's been there for so long and was an integral character. She sees herself in the same stratosphere as the Bananas and Caramelias and the long-time legends of the game. But she is, in terms of TV show performance goes, but not as far as competition performance goes. And I think she just sees herself in that same elite field, but without the championship. And I think she doesn't want to finish her long challenge career without a chip. She's been wanting it for a long time, and I feel like they're kind of giving her the best possible opportunity here.
Yeah, definitely. It's just funny to me, because we're not going to give up any strategies for our draft or anything. And I'm not saying anything bad about this cast or whatever, but there is a point, I think, that there's always a point in the draft where it's like, all right, I'm just going to try to, like, roll the dice on hoping to get confessionals or drama points or a hookup or whatever. I feel like that's going to happen so early on in the draft. Like, it's going to be one of those things. First of all, we're not going to have that many rounds with the four of us.
Pairs, not solos.
I feel like we have to draft pairs, right? Or should we draft solo? I think in season 38 we picked pairs. I guess we can talk about it because it will be knowing us, we're gonna talk a lot, even with them.
I know I'll be
taking
there
two at a
this time. So yeah, I'll be
13 pairs.
Yeah,
13 pairs is gonna take no time. Like that would be. Well, I mean, we could take a long time for sure, but
yeah, knowing us, we could take a long time. But yeah, it's gonna be like two people are gonna pick, and then it's gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna start picking who I think is gonna fight with people, and it's just like that's how we're gonna do it. It's gonna be very interesting because I feel like there could be like one team that just whiffs completely, especially only having 4 pairs each. I mean, we could just whiff completely, and one person could be out in the first 4 weeks, and it's just like, oopsie, I tried. I thought this team would go really well. But yeah, it's just really interesting how this cast is going. But like we talked about, it's rivals. Like there's so much potential here with the return of Frank, Sam, Ashley and Anissa are back together, or back on the season. Oh, Ashley is. Amber and Fessel are back. I don't know what to make a thing with that. Beth and John A. I will say, here's the thing. I'm known as the John A guy. I'm known as the John A slay all day. I've kind of cooled a little bit after seeing her like try to bring that All-Stars magic to other spin-offs and everything. It's been really tough to keep on hitting the drum for John A and be like, guys, seriously, we'll be good. It'll be fine. We're good to go. And now she's paired up with Beth, and I just feel like,
do they not like her anymore? Is that what happened? Like,
I guess not.
Because they set people up with some better pairs than. No offense, Beth. I do actually think you bring something good to the show, like entertainment wise. But like, if you were setting up John A for a win, it wouldn't be with Beth as your rival partner. I think they could have found. Like, I thought that they were going to do maybe John A and Kellyanne. Like that would have been a rival pair that would have been a little bit more supportive of John A's journey in this season. They don't seem like they want to be teeing her up for another win.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Arno. I don't think we can sell that John A stock now. We should have gotten out at All-Stars 3. That's when the peak of the stock price was. I will say, and I'm going to give a little bit of my strategy. I really do think Amber and Fessel are like the most athletic team here.
100%.
I think that they are incredibly strong. Will they work together? Who the heck knows? But to me, I just feel like if they're going to have if any team could like leapfrog over, I just feel like Amber and Fessel are like the team. I think that they bring so much, not confessional wise. That's the only thing is I feel like they could win, but you're banking on wins in talking terms of our draft. And I feel like I'm saying too much and everybody's just like looking at me like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like I'm taking notes of that. Sure. Amber Fessel. Okay. When I get first pick over you.
Like I agree though, Bessie is definitely somebody that even though he's not my favorite person, he does well on the challenge. Even with Anissa, he won a few times the daily. So I think I could see him and Amber like overcoming their issues, and they're going to be able to work together to a certain extent and win because they're both pretty good. So yeah, I do think that they're going to be a very strong physically as a couple, but kind of a bit of a snooze.
Yeah, I think Chris would take Fessel and Amber. Like he's gonna pick the people that he knows.
No, he's gonna take Nicole and it's with Melissa. I don't know, but I think isn't Nicole always his number 1 draft pick?
Oh yeah, that's true. The Atomic Blondes is what I call this pairing. I think it
could be good too. They could be.
They could. I mean, they're both like pretty intimidating, but at this end, it's just the durability of Nicole. If she it's like feast or famine with her. If she stays healthy, she makes finals. If she doesn't, she's out by episode 3. Like that's just how it goes. Or she makes it to the final and gets hurt in the final. So
what's their rival? Like, did they they're kind of exes?
Yeah, they hooked up on Vendetta season 31. They went to the bathroom with each other like for like 5 minutes, and everybody like opened the door and everything, and they were like giggling and everything. It only happened it happened the episode. It was shown the episode that Melissa was eliminated by Sylvia. Like, so it's like, but also to add into that, during the season 39 reunion, that was when a lot of Laurel and Nicole like breaking up happened, and Melissa was posting a lot with Laurel.
That's true.
At the reunion and outside the reunion and everything. So
just for her OnlyFans.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to think about this. There's a lot of talk. There's a lot of interest. A lot of people are hoping that the drama is going to be there. I just don't know.
I think there's going to be, I'm hoping anyway, and I'm anticipating Turbo and Fessy will get into something. Just because of like male toxic ego. Fessy thinks he's too good for this show. He's better than everyone here. No one can beat this man. And Turbo's like, "Oh, you pussy chicken," and they'll have a thing. Like, I'm
I still want Nani to have a good chance. I don't want him to get like out just because Turbo is such a hothead.
Well, here's the thing, though. Nani and Fessel are like really close friends, aren't they? Because Casey and Fessel are really close friends. So maybe there's like this thing of like, hey, don't screw with my partner, Fessel. Like, we can work together. And I don't know. I don't know what to make with half of these teams. I really can't. I could see like half these people doing okay, and then like the other, like the same half could do not so good. But I am worried. I am worried mainly about the what All Stars is, because it is getting confusing of the main series because of how many season 39 people no longer want to pay for Paramount Plus unless they're waiting for the next Big Brother season.
I did cancel it, and you know what? The Big Brother, because they got rid of the live feeds, well, like being able to rewind them, and I was like, well, that's just really annoying. So I got rid of Paramount Plus out of spite. I was like, screw you. So I'm not getting it back unless it's for good.
I'm not gonna
rivals. That, like I said before, everyone has always been waiting for a rival season again. Is it wasted on All Stars? Could they have a bigger?
Maybe that's why they put on MTV. They didn't want to waste.
And maybe like, were there rivalries that we know of that aren't like that? We like, why didn't they have Thingy as a rivalry? That could have been. You know, have we missed out on rivalries?
There's a gazillion rivals, I'm sure, that they could have had on there.
Oh yeah,
yeah, like especially like the Devon Bananas thing, like the dad thing years ago. Like obviously they got over it and it kind of rekindled this season. I feel like that could have been a really big one they could have played up. Bananas, Devon, like there's certainly some rivalries, like Cara Laurel. Like, why not have Cara Laurel on a flagship show in a rivalry season? You know?
No, thank you.
I can't.
No, thank you.
But as far as rivalries go, like, there's certainly bigger ones out there we're aware of than some of the ones that are on this show.
And I wonder if some of the ratings aren't as high. Maybe that was also taken into account of like, okay, well, maybe if we put it rival season, kind of like what I talked about season 24, they try to like hurry it up, but there was a point where in season 23, they had a lot of new players. They had the Battle of the Seasons 2012, a ton of new players. And after 21 and 22, the ratings took a huge nosedive with all those new players to where they were like, we need to just pump up to get another rival season. Rivals 1 hit really hard. Let's do a rival season, Rivals 2, and that should bump it up a little bit. So maybe that's also the case where season 40 is just not hitting as much as they thought it would bring it back, to where they're like, okay, well, also we got a rival season, and a lot of the players were on season 39 and some were on season 40. We'll just maybe put it on there, and we need more time in between the 2 seasons. So maybe hopefully.
What if it's because they were like, wow, we got gold here. We can't just waste 45 minutes every episode and just throw it in the trash. Like, we need to show everybody how epic All Stars 5 is. So we need a full hour and a half, and we need to put it on MTV to show everybody what the challenge is. So let's hope that is what is their intention there.
It's such a good season. They don't want to keep it on Paramount.
Mm-hmm.
I like
so
that.
good. They need to put it on MTV. And
I love the optimism.
I'm just giving it to you.
I love the optimism on that, because I do hope that is mainly the case for majority of it. But I mean, a lot of people are saying that. I think I did see something recently. I'm looking for it really quickly that oh no, don't worry about it. It was something from that I can't verify from. But some people, there was a source that said that if they make it to episode 3, by episode 3 and beyond, the excitement or the drama level should be up, unless the editing of the show is a wonky. So we'll have to see about that. But as somebody else, I think Chantele, you said it. What could this look like? Is it going to be 12 episodes? Is it going to be an hour and a half? Is it only going to be an hour? I pray that it's only going to be an hour long show each week, because I feel like it flows better. I will say, I think it flows better in the way of that situation.
I think 1 hour would flow the best, but I feel like the time slot is for 90 minutes on MTV.
Well, hopefully they have enough.
Yeah, they will have enough, right? There's gonna be so many fights. Drama.
I do want to ask, because I kind of feel like I saw this a lot earlier, but I want to talk to our residential Canadian about this. And as we go into 2025, and I do want to ask about 2025 and what our feelings are moving forward with the challenge, and what do we feel about it, and maybe thoughts on season 24 or 41, not 24, 41. But in 2025, it was mentioned in multiple articles that Canada is kind of dropping MTV. Now, there will be MTV on the internet.
It's MTV Canada on the internet still going to be going? Or MTV.com?
That's what I thought. I thought that they said that you could still watch the episodes through the Canada MTV website, but you can't. They're not going to be put on TV anymore. What is your feelings about that? And
I think it's annoying, because like it's set up like this, like I don't have to think about it. It's already programmed to record MTV the challenge, and so anytime a new season starts, like it records it automatically. So I'm like, why are you taking that away from us? Like, why? If it's still on the internet, then I'm not going to have that big of a problem watching it. And so, but the interesting issue is, so MTV Canada has its own channel, but then the challenge sometimes plays on CTV, which is another station. So I'm wondering if that will be where it will be held live instead of MTV. And if that's the case, then it will be pretty seamless. Like it's just another channel that I'd be recording from, not MTV. But if it's not on cable at all anymore, it's just a little bit more annoying that I'm going to have to watch from my computer. I mean, I'll screen it to my TV, whatever, mirror it, but it's just like I like watching it on my TV, like with my remote, like fast forward, all that stuff. So I don't actually know, though. They don't really let us know anything until it's happening.
See, I watch with a VPN on, and I used to go to mtv.ca, but mtv.ca now rediverts to CTV. So there's no MTV.ca. It just goes straight to CTV. And so then you have to navigate from CTV to the MTV little button.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I use the VPN via Canada to watch it.
Right. No, perfect. That's probably why you get like the different musics, because like I'm like I understand that I don't always get like the right music when I'm watching on mtv.ca. But beforehand though, we used to be able to watch from mtv.ca on the internet before it was rerouted to CTV. So that's why I just don't know if we will get it just directly from CTV now, or if it's only going to be an internet vibe. So I'll let you know, Kahuna, as soon as I find out, so you know where to place your VPN.
So it's actually a fun fact that I go to CTV, which shout out to Canada, because you've helped me. That website has helped me out so much with the VPN, because MTV actually stopped. Because I used to go on MTV.com and be able to get resources. I'll just put it that way, resources for my review and recap videos through there. But, and I even watch the ads and everything. I have so many videos of with built-in ads because I used to watch the ads, and then they just stopped. Now it diverts you to Paramount Plus. If you go to mtv.com in the US and click on I want to watch the Challenge 40, it'll divert you to Paramount Plus that does not have Challenge 40, and it's nowhere to be seen. I panicked for a second, but then I went to CTV and they'll let you do whatever it is there, and it's like, thank goodness, because there's no way, unless I'm paying for this on Amazon, it's like kind of ridiculous. But it is one of those things where I did read an article earlier today, or something of an article, where the heads made a decision that they don't feel like Comedy Central and MTV bring in enough eyes split, and they kind of want to do something where they can, like, I don't know, it sounded like they were trying to like figure out a way of like bringing more TV together. And I don't know if they're trying to make a comedy TV, a music central type of situation where it's like, we're going to take the best of each one and then just smash them together. They didn't have a time limit on that, but they use a lot of big words like synergy and splits and everything. So it's like, I think MTV as it sees is not being viable. And Paramount Plus has also been talked very recently not being very profitable. And now that they have a merger, and now that, I mean, Paramount Plus doesn't even have that many exclusives. They stopped a lot of their Are You the One? They had this global initiative that they stopped. And now they had their one show that they like coined and was like keeping very tightly, which was Yellowstone. They played on CBS, and now you can watch it on Peacock. They lent it out on rent for Peacock. So now you can watch it there. So what is the point of Paramount Plus now that All Stars 5 isn't going to be on there? Yellowstone and all of its sequels are going to be somewhere else. I mean, I've told this to my bakery Patreon so many times, is that once Big Brother live streams are just not a thing anymore and it's not on Paramount Plus, that is the death nail. That is the death nail of that whole. I feel like it's just being held together by the Big Brother crew, just by this, like, just by the.
I use Pluto now. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like, that's sorry, Paramount Plus. But also, like, how is Paramount Plus just allowing Peacock to like take over that scene with what's we call it, the traitors being over there? Like, I don't know. I think that they're losing the war against NBC.
I think it has a lot to do with the Skydance merger. I think they do a lot
with Skydance. Can you tell us anything?
Universal. So what happened was that they were going to do a buyout, but they couldn't do a full buyout. And so Skydance, who is also not doing so well, was like, we'll fork over some money and we can kind of be under us. You can keep your name, but we're going to be like doing this whole thing where you're staying afloat by some of the money that we're making, and we get a little bit of the decision making. And so it's weird that it's like Skydance works very closely with Universal, but now MTV and Paramount seem to be like, well, Paramount seems to be dropping so many of what they were trying to do. And kind of now after that merger, it was like, we'll lease out the challenge stuff. We'll lease out Yellowstone. And maybe they're trying to do a thing where it's like, if you watch Yellowstone there, you can watch all the spinoffs over here. But nobody's paying that prices. So I don't know. It's a weird situation. But it just feels like, if you, as we talked about earlier, you mentioned earlier, 2019 was when Viacom and CBS merged to make Paramount Plus in 2019. And then less than 5 years later, they're out there merging with Skydance. So let's add in another corporation to be like, can you help us make money? Because we're not doing it. So
too many cooks in the kitchen means that, it's going to be a disaster. I don't know. I think that it's worrisome when these like mergers and new voices and people coming in and like, because they're trying to keep afloat, like that's scary. Hopefully this will help it work. But when we saw these kind of desperate attempts happening to Big Brother Canada, there was like like the last gasp was like, first they're like, okay, let's do these daily drops for the live feeds. And we're like, oh God, this is the beginning of the end, the beginning to the end. And like 900,000 sponsors, like, oh gosh, it's almost over. And then season 12 comes and like, barely any live feeds whatsoever. So many sponsors. And then it's done. So I'm hoping that this will rejuvenate it and it's going to be the lifeline that it needs, but all of it does worry me.
What about you, Kahuna? Do you feel worried a little bit with all these mergers and everything?
Yeah, obviously, like anytime you have the uncertainty, it's always going to be. And when we have properties that we've loved for 20 years and the future is unknown, it's always worrisome. But if you try to like look at the positive side and maybe hope that all these mergers, well, this is what I thought when we got the spin-offs with CBS and all that sort of thing. I was like, MTV is done. Like MTV hasn't really been MTV for like 15 years at least, or whatever it was, right? And I'm like, maybe Bun Murray is going, hey man, MTV is not going to be here. We need to make sure that we've got places to land. We need a challenge on CBS. We need a challenge on Paramount Plus. We need to have licensing to Sweden. Like, I thought they were spreading a net where it doesn't matter if one thing falls because we've got set up in multiple places and the challenge is always going to be around in one form or another because of that diversity, that there's so many different channels and streaming platforms and blah, 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 and corporations taking over here, that there'll always be someone to throw a bone at the challenge. That's what I've always sort of hoped, that they were setting up a network where if one thing falls down, we've got other things set up in place. But the way ratings have gone and moving away from the USA, CBS sort of thing and the global stuff, I do worry a little bit more. I thought they were seeing a longer picture and trying to set a runway, and now they seem to be pulling that runway back a bit and consolidating down to MTV for All Stars 5, like instead of spreading further. And maybe there's a thing about watering it down and keeping the audience tight in one place. But I feel like the one place, if it's going to be MTV, is very short-sighted. Like the Moon Man is not for long.
I completely agree. And it's like my always biggest question, and a lot of other people's biggest questions, is like, why isn't the episodes available the next day on Paramount Plus? Like, you have a streaming service for a reason. Why not by 8 a.m. the next day, or earlier for my purposes, earlier? Why isn't it on Paramount Plus to be done? Like, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. My only hope in this whole thing is that if they are going to be partnering up with like Peacock, I think Peacock has a really solid list of TV shows and reality TV shows over there. Like you were saying, Chantele, with Traders. I mean, that's an incredible show. They also have House of Villains that is made by E! And then they have Love Island US, which has really kicked up a notch once going over to Peacock. So I could only hope that if there is this situation where they just had Anonymous, which is like my #1 favorite reality show of 2024. Like I would love for it to be like, okay, well, the challenge, you have your hand with it, Peacock, and then they can make something fun and a little weird and a bit goofy and everything, and bring back a little bit more of that reality TV feel, instead of it being so serious and Bill Simmons in an article or podcast being like, this is America's Fifth Sport. It's like, who the heck are you, dude? I don't care about you.
Stop.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my only hope. So as we wrap up, because I don't want to spend too much, I don't want to take y'all from your families and everything, but season 40, I will say that I was actually nervous, very nervous throughout the entirety of 40 up until, well, I'm still even nervous because people can say it's going to start filming in February, but you never know until February happens and people are like leaving to go to the departure date. But for how long they took to be like, season 41 departed, or season 41 is like, that's where it's like, I was worried that we're so deep. We're halfway through season 40 and I'm like, they haven't said anything yet. Like, we have an All Stars 5 that's been in the can, but what it like, and then it's being dropped on MTV. I'm like, this is kind of nervy. Like, I'm nervous. Like, what does this mean? But they have announced that season 41, or at least some people have announced that season 41 will be filming in February. What are you hoping for season 41? And what are you expecting? Are you finally relieved that season 41 is said to be like getting the move on?
I don't know what I want from season 41, to be honest. Like, I'm not sure yet. Maybe it's because I don't know how 40 ends yet. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know what. Well, I definitely don't want to see karma points. I know that. I definitely want to see a male and female winner. I definitely want to see. I don't even know cast wise. Like, maybe some of the people that have been established that I've been like, oh, they should come back. Like, you know, that they'd be great. Like, I wouldn't mind if they did a few rookies that we've already met. That could be nice to develop some of these storylines a little bit, especially if we're getting worried that the era ones are being aged out. Like, so there has been some new blood that have been coming into the scene that maybe they need to bring a few of them back in. I don't know what I want for it though, to be honest. Like, other than what I've said, I'm not really sure.
Okay. Kahuna?
I'm excited for the next era. Like, if season 40 was eras, I'm very curious what they do with the next era going forward. Because we're in a transition period where they put on a season like Battle for the New Champion, not just to save money, but to find who will be that cast going forward. Because as much like they're still so heavily reliant on people that have been doing it for 15, 20 years, right? Like, Bananas is the MVP this season and he's in the finals and he's also 45. Like, they need to find, like, Jordan is one of the best to ever do it. And he's also a professional race car driver that rocked up late to this season because of his other commitments, right? I don't know how many seasons he's got in it. CT seems to be going through some shit with, I don't know what he's doing, but I don't know, man, how many seasons CT's got in him, right? Bananas is still performing well. Wes has retired. He says he's not even going to do it anymore. Like, they need to find that next cast. And I think when they got the Nerys and Horacio was going to be great, and they've kind of stuffed that up. I don't know. He's not happy. Like, they need to find their new crew who they can build a show around and get the cast members that are going to be the permanent fixtures. Yes, Tori's going to be there, but they need to build around that and start getting the numbers.
Didn't she say she wasn't coming back for a couple seasons?
I mean, there you go. So, like, when we talk about new cast, I don't want a new cast every season, and that's scary because after Survivor 40, the new era of Survivor has sucked. Like, they went the wrong way, and I don't want the challenge to go new era, new challenge. We're doing things differently and making it the opposite. I think they need to build on what they've done well by just finding those cast members and actually bringing them back. The thing that makes the challenge different is the fact that we have a returning and revolving cast that we grow to love. That's what they need to get right, because the format, as I said at the start of the show, is always hit and miss. But what should stay consistent is that you get a really good cast that brings the drama and everything that we want as well. That's what I'm want out of it. I want to see the new generation that they can actually build around. I'm just worried that they might not get it or might not nail it. You know what I mean? Because some of their casting recently hasn't been crash hot. Some has been great, but they need to build a little bit more consistency into bringing those people back as well.
Yeah. Do you have a question for you? So can you think of, like, between, like, when the new era started, if there was a change in kind of a style or a format? So like season 11 to 21 and 31, and now maybe you could project what theme or, you know, direction 40s might go into?
I could not. So it's fun. It's funny that you mentioned this, because I just put up a Patreon video in December, early December, going through what I think are the different eras of the challenge, and I go into like 9 different eras where there is a distinct change in everything once we hit like 35 and to now, where it was like, this is where the show is very serious. It's dark, it's brooding. There's no more like colors. There's only, everybody is wearing black with white lettering, or like purple. It's dark purples and it's dark colors, and we're doing spy themes and you're gonna like it kind of vibe. And it's like, I like that they brought back some colors for season 40, where we had the light blues, we had the pinks, we had the greens, and then we had the dark blues. I worry that is like the last, like that's the last like wave of the flag of like, yeah, because that's the old era, and now we're going to move into the new era where it's just going to get even more serious on top of serious. And I just pray that there is going to be some fun, because around season 32 and season 33 and season 34 is when, and I know there's a lot of problematic people in that, and that's what really kind of helped change the show into a different situation. But it's one of those things where we still had drama. We still had people getting mad at each other because of like Leroy, Cam, and Theo. There was a love triangle there. It's like, I would love to see there to be a little bit more leniency into where it's like, yeah, we can have like fun still. We can still have people jumping off of trucks, but they don't have to be like so serious about it. This is the challenge. This is built off of real world, like, and the road rules. Like, we can still have fun with it. So I can tell you, I just pray that we're going to be good. But I will say that there is early talks of what season 41 will be, and it looks like there could be a fresh meat, but not a true fresh meat, more like a season 33 fresh meat, where it's like people from other reality shows being brought in and then paired up with like vets and stuff. So it would be looking to be half rookies and half vets, maybe newer vets like a Nerys, or like some people that are like that will be paired up with them instead of everybody the same thing. So
do you think that they would do a I guess invitational kind of thing where they had like, I did really like that in Fresh Meat, how they had them run all these obstacles and then they got to, you know, like, I do like that. So okay, that's cool if you think
it's like with the global as well, right? They got to pick their partner based on the, you know, the outcome of the invitation, whatever it is. I could say I like that idea. I'm a big believer, like, that these people that go on these TV shows, especially now, and one of the reasons why I think the show has changed is because you're now dealing with professionals, not professional athletes, but professional reality TV people, professional social media people. Like, they make this their job. Back in the day, they were college students getting drunk and having fun and did not think about getting callbacks or the future or what this show is going to be in 10 years or whatever. They were just there for the moment.
Like, okay.
Yeah. Right. But now these people are like, I want to make this my job. I'm going to come back as many seasons as possible. I'm going to turn up at any bar invitation I get, any college invitation I get. Oh, that's more of an old thing, isn't it? Do they still do the tour? Like, is there a ring?
No, I don't think so.
Well, their social media, all that sort of stuff, like, they now turn that into a career, and I think they're a lot more polished and they're more professional. And even like young kids these days know social media etiquette of what to do to promote themselves and that sort of thing. And I think that has sanitized it a little bit because they know not to get cancelled. You know what I mean? Like, I think that plays into these professional thing, but I'm also a believer from a TV production standpoint. I can see why they want that. They're like, I'm working as a production assistant or a director or whatever. I want people that know how to speak to the camera. They know where the camera is. They know how to get the most. Like, these people are camera prepared, camera trained, TV trained. And if they're getting a fresh meat that's not just complete fresh meat, but from other shows, then you get that built in already. Like, there's a level of professionalism. We know we can get stuff out of them because they've done it 4 times on different channels and different TV shows. I'm not going to be like pulling teeth to get a good confessional. At least that's what, in theory, on paper, it is, that they're working with a certain level that they know they can get out of. And I don't mind that if it means a higher overall level, but you do lose a little bit of that authenticity and that rawness, which is what was built into the original recipe.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with it. I just adding in another half cast of new people and just hoping that somebody sticks and somebody keeps going forward. And
they need to find the ones that they can use, though, rather than just have new cast, and not actually develop any of them.
What if they took maybe like one and dones from the past decade, whatever, and like maybe bring them back? So they've had one season that maybe they went out first or second or early on, or like they didn't really make a deep run or make a deep impression, but they've been on the show before, and then they go through like a fresh meat type process, and then we would be developing some people.
If I want to throw this out there, please, if anybody's listening, like, why not bring on people like who weren't on the main series, even if they played like USA or USA 2, like bring them on as the rookies and be like, oh, Cassidy comes on, and technically she's never played this game because she was never on the flagship show, but she can play as a rookie paired up with a vet because she's never played like this. So I just hope that they do something and take something into account. I will say, because we talked about Skydance and Peacock, and they're kind of throwing their shows over on Peacock, it's like, I would like to see some people from Peacock over. Like, if that opens up the door for Peacock people and everything, like bring them over and stuff, like that would be fun.
Maybe that's what they're trying to bank on doing, like being like, oh, the success of Love Island season 6. Let's get that cast on this show.
Yeah. I'm hoping. Okay. Well, we'll see how it's all going to play out. We are wrapping things up because you both have been so gracious with your time and being able to hang out. This was awesome. I will say it's been quite a long time. I think it was the draft. That was the last time we really hung out.
I was at the draft, so
yeah. Well, you and I talked on your channel at one point doing a review and everything. So that was great. But just getting 3 of us together out of 4 is great. But
should you do it though? Should you tell us how the points are going? I know that you're wrapping it up, but what do you want to do the points? Kahuna? I think you're in the lead though. But
all right, let's do this. Let's do this draft.
you're like, I almost got by without bringing it up.
Well, we'll see how this is going to be. We're going to see how this is going to play out. But let's go into the draft. All right, in 4th place, I'm going to go 4, 3, 2, 1. In 4th place is Team Chantele. Is here in 4th place.
I was doing so well for so long.
Yes, you were doing incredibly well, but you have blanked. You have nobody left going into the final.
I'm
sorry to say. Cara Maria was eliminated. I had to go through the record books to see if anybody else blanked out before going into the final, and I didn't need to really go into the record books because my whole bakery and Patreon knew exactly who blanked out, and that was me. In our last draft, they were like, oh, by the way, you did it first before anybody. And I was like, oh, thanks. I'm glad everybody has that in the top of your memories. That's great. So you have 503 points. You're 61 points behind 4th place, or 3rd place, I should say. But yeah. Cara Maria was clearly your highest. Laurel quitting did not do you any favors. Ryan was Naya was your 2nd highest person that you drafted. So yeah,
not great.
What do you feel about this, about your team?
I'm kind of bummed when you see like all like the the trophies and like so people that have done decently well. You'd think that they at least one of them would have been able to get to the final. So it's a bummer that I can't be rooting for one person. So it's disappointing because like I would like to have a stake at least in the final, whether I was going to win or not. It would be nice to be rooting someone from the draft. So I'm sad.
Yeah, well, that's tough. You look at it and you go 44 from CT and 35 from you. I would have expected more points for you pre-season. Like it just didn't play out there. That's a good team.
Just these 3, Cara, CT, and Laurel, it's like a jagged knife going into us all realizing that you were going to get them. And then Laurel, the way she went out was really disappointing. I thought CT as well, like, but he got injured on that stupid trivia game. So it was tough. All right. In 3rd place, is Team Chris, who only has Tori left. Had Corey for the longest amount of time with 130, but Tori getting 209 and 35 daily win points, winning so many dailies, 7 dailies.
Is she the highest scorer overall?
No. We will get
Ooh.
to the highest scorer overall is on one of our 2 teams, but he is 241 points behind second place. But yeah, Tori absolutely crushing it. Really good top pick. Yeah.
Well, we can see who's next, which means we know who's on top.
I will say, I've told this to my Patreon so many times that I don't have many regrets in life. But me skipping over Corey to pick Theo is going to be my biggest regret ever. Once you see that Corey like outdoes Theo by double points, it was really, really saddening. But a decent season. Got Tori, could do some damage. Third, second place is Team Kahuna by only 9 points. You're behind me.
Oh my gosh.
But Bananas is the highest scorer at 218 points. You also have Kylan with 120, Jenny with 117. Yeah, Olivia was your 4th highest, and she left really early.
Like a month, 2 months ago.
Yeah, exactly. Josh lasted way longer and only got you 84. Well, got you 84 points in your top 5, but Olivia got 88 points. I will say, here's the thing. Kahuna, you were in first place like the entire season until last week. Until last week when added in the bonus points, all the bonus points and everything. So, yeah. But yeah. What do you think about your team, Kahuna? 796 points.
Like only 2 champions and like so many points. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, I thought I would have got more out of Tina because of her confessionals and stuff, but she just wasn't there long enough, I guess. Anissa was a horrible pick. And Horacio is a letdown because he should have, like, athletically, capability wise, expectation wise, I had a lot more placed in him. I thought he might have been a winner kind of pick for me.
Well, there's a lot of funkiness going on between when he left and everything. So, I mean, that could also be taken into account. But you also had the highest score in Bananas. Really, really solid.
He's been great.
He's been incredibly well. Most confessionals out of anybody, like legit 131 confessionals this entire season. I think
I have Jody with like 9.
Tori had 113. I think she was the second highest. I think it's either Tori or Michelle had the second highest, and it's like 113 out of 131 to 113 is like crazy. Jody had 9 confessionals. You're right. She did have 9 confessionals.
Wait, I have a question. Yeah. Am I conflating different drafts? Did I send in my order, or no? I feel like I did this one with you guys.
You did.
Were we all here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we were.
Okay. I was mistaking it for the time before where I sent it in, but then I was like, no, but I remember specifically taking Cara Maria from Chris. Anyways, okay, yeah. I got it.
Yeah, you were definitely here. Now that I'm remembering it, because it was the other one, the All Stars 4. I think you picked Laurel, and then you got picked Janelle and everything, and that was
right, okay.
That was the people's draft where
Chris was bad. That was bad.
Yeah, shutting down the polls really quickly. Five votes get in. He's like, all right, we're done. We're moving on. That was really funny. That was a really funny draft. All right, and by only 9 points is Team Drew with the most people going into the final.
Ever.
Rachel, Jordan, wow, not even close. 94 confessionals. Holy heck. So yeah, Bananas with 131 confessionals, Tori with 113 confessionals are the top 2. Rachel, I mean, Jordan had to win a couple of dailies to get me up to this because he was doing absolutely nothing the entire season. But yeah, I did not have a really good draft out of Nerys getting 17 points, Amanda only getting 18 points, but somehow she was getting a lot more than Nerys, and yeah, it's wild. But Derek, underdog, got here. Michelle. Yeah. He won. It was good. It was good. It was good for me. It was good for me.
I
So,
mean, yeah. Wow. Woo.
yeah.
I don't have any idea how I'm going to be able to win this next draft because I don't know how to draft anymore. I just don't.
Well, the good thing is that All Stars 5 is, I think, a complete unknown. Just go with what you feel could happen. I feel like we're all going to be banking on argument points more so than winning at this point. Like, who cares who wins? I mean, it's just like pick who you think can get into more
I just saw
arguments.
Michelle's argument points.
Yeah, 32. I mean, that's mainly bananas. That's mainly bananas. Bananas and crying when she like almost had like. I mean, Bananas had 46.
When Derek was making the tortillas.
Wow.
Yeah, making the tortillas. She passed out during that one challenge with the balls and the tubes and stuff. But yeah, Bananas. Tori got 30 arguments. I mean, Tori, I thought would have way more points with how many daily wins and everything. But yeah, absolutely incredible. And also, I got some makeout points. I had the most makeout points.
Flop. My winning people. Almost everybody was a winner, and they're all losers.
I mean, let's be real. Cara Maria almost made it for you. Almost made it for you. She would have
lost the final, though. But yeah,
maybe. Yeah, but you never know. But then Chris would have been blanked out of going into the final. But
well, that would have been better than me.
It's true. He's not even here. He's not even here. All right, we're wrapping up. It's been 2.5 hours. I want to thank you both so much for being here. Please, I want to give you a chance to shout out your channels, what you have going on, what you have coming up, what shows maybe people can look out for 2025, anything that you want to Instagram, Twitter, anything that you guys want to mention. I know Chantele, you were doing so much stuff this year with like the exit interviews of the Traders Canada and all this other stuff. Like, please tell us what you're doing over at Reality Realnesss.
My feather in the hat for US, but I'm going to see. It might be too late for me to get on that exit interview train, but you never know. It hasn't started yet, so I'm going to see if maybe I can be part of that press team. But I will be recapping the Traders USA 3, or is it 4? Is it 3?
I think it's 3.
With Melissa Best from season 1 of Canada. We'll be doing that again. We will be doing kind of an assessment because she doesn't necessarily know all the different cast people. So we will go through the cast with the next, probably in the first week of January, like right before it starts, we will go through the cast. And I'm thinking of doing some tarot predictions for that cast as well. So that just will be some extra content that I'll probably do. I might put it up on shorts on YouTube, and or I'll do, the other social media like with TikTok and Instagram. So if you want to just keep your eye out on Instagram at ShanFran or at Reality Realness with 3 S's, and at Reality Realness with 3 S's on TikTok, and then Reality Realness with 3 S's on YouTube to, subscribe and ring that bell so you can find out if I'm covering something else. But yeah, right now, definitely the Traders USA 3. And I think I'll also do UK season 3 as well. So that will be in the new year for sure.
I just recently watched UK and it was really, really good.
UK one's the best for sure.
I think of the Traders is the only show that I've watched like every iteration that I can from Peacock, and every single iteration I've found some enjoyment out of it. There's one
Canada too.
I haven't watched Canada because I tried to like screen it to my TV, and it's like the VPN's like, yeah, you're in Canada on this laptop, and then when I try to put it on my TV, it's like, your TV's in Florida. What? Like, you can't do that. And it's like, okay, I guess I can't do that. So I haven't watched it yet, but I'm very much looking forward to it.
It might be on CTV. So
there's one Trader season that made me laugh so hard. I think it was from New Zealand or something, and it was just like, well, I just screwed it up. But there was a one Trader season that made me laugh so hard because I hated everybody that was a part of that season, and the way it ended made me laugh so hard. I
Oh,
just love
that's Australia
so
too, for
much.
sure.
I was
Damn.
like, oh my gosh, you idiots. I'm so glad this happened to you. I've never seen it happen in anywhere else, but it was, oh, I love traders.
No,
Looking
that
forward
was
to,
definitely Australia too. I know
Yeah.
which one it
yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Australia too.
Damn.
It was awesome. It was great. I loved it. Anyways,
Oh,
Kahuna,
it's me.
where are you guys up to over at the Nullified Take channel? Where can people reach you, and what are you guys gonna be doing maybe in the new year, or some of the shows that are gonna be coming up?
Man, Chantel's so much better at promo. We'll be on the Nullified Take. It's at the Nullified Take. I don't know the socials, just on YouTube, guys. Look it up. I'm not Chris,
I
unfortunately,
think
but
it's TNT_take on Twitter.
there you go. There you go on X. I don't know if we're on Blue Sky yet. But we'll be obviously covering the challenge, All Stars. We'll be doing Survivor 48, Australian Survivor, Brains vs. Brawn 2. And because we've got the luxury of multiple hosts, Mucky's going to be doing the Traders. He's kind of our Traders guy. He's going to be hosting Traders US with a bunch of New Zealand Traders contestants,
Nice.
including champions. So he's got
Awesome.
like actual traders to break down the traders, but I don't know if New Zealand traders is a good equivalency, but so yeah, we've got a bunch of shows coming up. I think a big focus for us in the new year, obviously we're going to keep doing the challenge. It's kind of been our main thing, but Australian Survivor, when that comes back on, the Australian show will be front and center. So yeah.
So is Brains versus Brawn 2 or 3, whatever it is, happening before Australia versus the world?
See, there were rumors for a while there. Like it came out like 2 weeks ago that production was so over the moon and so excited about the world competition that it was going to be moved up ahead. But then over Christmas, they dropped the trailer for Brains vs. Brawn 2. So people were now, okay, like they wouldn't drop a trailer before, so we're pretty sure we're getting Brain vs. Brawn 2 and then Australia versus the world second half of 2025.
Oh, that sounds so good.
Oh yeah, I'm going to cover Love Island Games. That starts soon too.
Oh my gosh, season 2?
Love Island Games, sorry.
Is that Aussie? Love Island?
No,
Australia?
Love Island Games is not Games. Sorry, All Stars. Love Island All Stars, not Games.
Oh.
All Stars. Sorry, lying. But it's season 2. Love Island All Stars is just people that have been on previous Love Island UK seasons, and bringing them back for another shot at love.
So it's like the challenge, but Love Island.
We may do something like just as maybe a one-off recap of Squid Game, and I think Chris also wanted to look at Deal or No Deal Island coming in early Jan as well. So
I'll watch. I don't know if I'm going to cover it, but
I'll be honest. Sure. Not Love Island. Deal or No Deal Island was a surprise for me. Like it wasn't my favorite new reality show of 2024, but I was pretty surprised how cohesive of a game it was. To where I was like, oh yeah, this is actually
like the worst
really
part was the briefcases.
Yeah, it was the Deal or No Deal part. It was the worst.
It's like, do we really need this part? Like, yeah, we do.
Can I just say I skipped every single time. Like at the end of the episode, I would just skip all the way past it and would be like, all right, cool, they left. Like I was so done with it. But yeah, it was great. I got so excited for Love Island Games. I liked the first season. Once I finally watched it, but it's all good. It's
I didn't mean to here, but I'm sure it will come back because it was a hit. I don't know if I heard for sure if it's coming back or not, but I think it was a big enough hit that it's likely. So
yeah, it was good. So I'm just gonna say thank you to the Patreon, my bakery at patreon.com/angelcakevids for the year of support. It was awesome. I am working on a lot of very big content coming in 2025. It's kind of like the year of why wait, do it now. So I'm going to be putting out a good amount of content that I've been kind of holding on to for whatever reason. And so I'm going to just go full ham in 2025. And I'm going to start off in hopefully February. I don't want to get too ahead of my bridges, but I've been working very deep into a 6-part CT docuseries, which I'm hoping to get the first part out in February at some point. So
Are you gonna
be
lead
on
it to
Right.
like most recent dramas? Ooh.
We'll see about that. I don't know if I want to put all that in there, but we'll see how that's all going to play out. But a lot of fun stuff is happening over at Patreon. If you've been hanging out at the channel and been like, wow, you're doing a lot more review and recaps lately, it's because I've been putting so much effort into 2025. After the hurricanes, I kind of got too much in my own head and really second guessing and needing to get back on track mentally. So 2025, I'm ready to jump in and let's have some fun. All Stars 5, crowning champs early on, and then docu-series, hookup charts, and all that other stuff. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. But talking about the present, I want to say thank you again, Chantele and Kahuna at the Realnesss with 3 S's and the Nullified Take channel, both on YouTube. Please go check out both their channels. They do incredible coverage of multiple shows. So please go check them out, give them support, check out some videos, then subscribe if you like what they do. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for over 2.5 hours tonight. Y'all are incredible. I'm so glad we got to be able to do one more live stream before 2025. And it was incredible. This was like every time we get together, I'm always like, that was incredible. That was a great time. So I really, really appreciate you guys for taking the time in your holiday schedules, being out with family or anything to hang out with me and us, the live chat for so long. So I really, really appreciate it.
We love you, and we love the challenge. We
thanks,
love the bakery. So it's been a great time. So thanks for having
A
us.
lot of fun. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Whether you've been here for the full 3 hours or been here for 5 minutes, you will be able to go back and rewatch the entire 2-hour and 40-minute stream. I just want to say thank you so much. Hope everybody has a great rest of your weekend, a great rest of your night, and a safe weekend. And Happy New Year going into the new year. So yeah, I was like, there's something else. Happy New Year, everybody. And hopefully we all start off 2025 really, really fun. So thank you. And good night, everybody.